Chapter 734. Supreme Elder Luo Feng wanted to leave the Shura sect. This was a huge blow to the Shura sect. The Shuran king did not seem surprised at all. He sneered and said, "What a joke. Do you think the Shura sect is a place where you can come and go as you please? If you want to leave, I'll let you go if you leave your cultivation behind." Many of the disciples trembled as their eyes revealed a trace of shock. The Shuran king wanted to abolish Supreme Elder Luo Feng's cultivation. Luo Feng was not willing to give up. Even a titled supreme being could not abolish his cultivation. Luo Feng might die, but he would not give up his cultivation. In the God of War continent, without cultivation, one's fate would be worse than death. Ha ha ha. Shuran king. You're so childish. Do you think you can take back my cultivation? I advise you not to fight to the death. Otherwise, the Shura sect will be bathed in blood today. Luo Feng's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. His voice was filled with threat as a terrifying supreme being's aura spread out from his body. Like the Shuran king, he was also a LV9 Supreme Realm expert. If he went berserk and started a massacre in the Shura sect, a LV9 Supreme Realm expert would be able to wipe out the entire Shura sect in no time. Luo Feng, you're really ambitious. The Shura sect raised you, taught you, and provided you with countless resources for your cultivation. It allowed you to grow to where you are today, but you betrayed the Shura sect. Supreme Elders, are you going to betray the Shura sect with Luo Feng? The Shuran king sighed. His eyes were cold as he looked at the two Supreme Elders behind Luo Feng. The two Supreme Elders shivered and immediately left Luo Feng. They flew towards the Shuran monarch and said, "Supreme Sect Master, we were born as members of the Azura sect and we will die as ghosts of the Azura sect. We will never betray the sect in this life. Luo Feng, give yourself up. The Dragon King is here. Don't try to resist." One of the Supreme Elders behind the Shuran king said coldly. Ha ha ha. I understand now. I'm afraid today is a trap you set for me, right? For me, you even invited Long Lai. Shuran king, it seems like you are determined to kill me. Luo Feng laughed maniacally. The aura around him was extremely violent. His crazy eyes scanned the surroundings, filled with cold killing intent. However, a terrifying aura intertwined on Long Lai's body. It had already locked onto Luo Feng and would launch a thunderous attack at any time. Luo Feng, it's not that I want to kill you. You brought this upon yourself. Do you think I don't know that you've joined the War God Temple? Shuran Wang's eyes flashed with killing intent as he stared coldly at Luo Feng. What? Luo Feng trembled as he stared at the Shuran king in disbelief. What? Don't think I'm a fool. Shura Divine General, are you still not going to show yourself? Luo Feng stared at Shura Divine General as a terrifying aura emanated from him. Rumble. The 49 mountains of the Shilua sect began to tremble violently. Strands of black divine light intertwined like divine chains, instantly forming a terrifying formation that enveloped Luo Feng in the center. This was the Great Shura Divine Array, the Shura sect's divine array. Unexpectedly, the Shuran king had already prepared for this. At this moment, he activated the power of the array and enveloped Luo Feng. Shura Divine General. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. The Supreme Elder of the Shura sect, Luo Feng, was actually one of the 18 Divine Generals of the War God Temple. This was too hard to believe. However, since the Shuran king dared to say it, it meant that he had enough evidence. The entire Shura sect was shaken as well. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. Their Supreme Elder, Luo Feng, had betrayed the Shura sect and joined the War God Temple. With the Shuran king as the leader, the 4 Supreme Elders of the Shura sect stood in 4 different directions. Their bodies emitted terrifying killing intent as they locked onto Luo Feng, who was in the middle. On the other hand, Long Lai's eyes were incomparably sharp. His body was surrounded by a vast amount of law power as if he was about to launch a thunderous attack at any moment. When the Shuren king shouted out the words Shura divine general, Luo Feng's eyes were shocked and instantly became incomparably calm. His eyes were filled with black divine light as he said indifferently, "How did you know? If you don't want others to know, don't do it in the first place." The Shuren king sneered and said, "All these years, you've been eliminating dissidents in my Shura sect and doing whatever you want. Many of my Shura sect's genius disciples have gone missing and were secretly sent to the War God Temple by you, right? What I don't understand is that the Shura sect has treated you well. They nurtured you, gave you resources, and allowed you to become the supreme elder of the Shura sect. Why did you betray the sect and join the War God Temple?" Although the Shuren king was sneering, there was a trace of pain in his eyes. Although he already knew this result, when he saw Luo Feng at this moment, he still felt very sad. The supreme elder of the Shura sect had actually silently become the Shura divine general of the War God Temple. This made Ling Zhao's heart turn cold. If that was really the case, then other than the Shura sect, were there any other martial sacred grounds that had divine generals planted by the War God Temple? "Shuren king, it seems like you've been investigating me all these years. However, you'll never understand the greatness of the War God. The War God is omnipotent and dominates everything. The War God is the prophet of this world. Only by following the War God can one break through the limits of life and death and become a supreme god. You ignorant people will never understand." Luo Feng's eyes were suddenly filled with fanaticism and worship. The Shuren king and Long Lai looked at each other and their gazes turned serious. The War God should be the mysterious War God of the War God Temple. To be able to make Luo Feng, who was at the 9th level sovereign realm, worship him so fanatically, the Shuren king and Long Lai were incomparably fearful of the mysterious War God. "Furthermore, do you really think that you can kill me? Believe in the War God and you'll have eternal life. None of you can kill me." Luo Feng's eyes revealed a trace of strangeness as a mysterious aura spread out from his body. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled as the mysterious aura seemed to have pierced through the great Azura divine formation, breaking through the void and entering into an unknown space. "Not good, kill him." The Shuren king's expression changed. Together with the 4 supreme elders, he activated the great Azura battle formation. The void trembled violently. Streaks of black Azura divine light gathered and exuded a strong destructive force. It suppressed Luo Feng. Boom. Chapter 735. Rumble. The sky trembled as the 6 supreme beings activated the great Azura divine formation and charged towards Luo Feng. Even though Luo Feng was a rank 9 supreme being, it was difficult for him to defend against such a formation. The terrifying divine light engulfed Luo Feng. However, Luo Feng's eyes were filled with a strange look. There was no trace of fear in them. Crack. At this moment, the void shattered and the sky trembled. A huge beast claw came across the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. It instantly broke the great Azura divine formation and blocked Luo Feng's path. The beast claw was tens of thousands of feet long and terrifying. Its scales were dazzling and sharp. One look at it would make one's scalp tingle. The Shuren king and Long Lai's attacks were easily blocked by the beast claw. "Who are you?" The Shuren king's face changed as he stared at the terrifying figure in the sky. He could feel that the aura from the figure was comparable to Long Lai's. He was also a titled supreme being. However, the ferocious energy was like an ancient beast that was even more terrifying than Long Lai's. "Greetings, Discipline King Xian Wu. My incompetence has been exposed." Luo Feng's face was filled with respect as he bowed towards the figure in the sky. "Trash." An old and indifferent voice rang out. Luo Feng's body trembled as fear appeared in his eyes. However, he maintained his bow and did not dare to move. "Are you one of the 4 discipline kings of the War God Hall, Discipline King Xian Wu?" Who would have thought that the War God Hall, which claimed to have inherited the will of the Scarlet Dragon God of War, would interfere with the Shilua sect? Long Lai looked at the figure in the sky and said coldly. The figure was shrouded in endless black light. His figure could not be seen clearly, but it was like a vast ocean that swept across the 9 heavens. It was as if it would drown the Shiolua sect at any time. The Shuren king and the many supreme elders of the Shiolua sect looked extremely solemn. They had not expected Luo Feng, the Azura divine general of the War God Temple, to have a law emperor arrive so quickly. The War God Temple's 4 great guardian kings were all titled supreme martial artists. Then, what cultivation level would the left and right holy masters, as well as the supreme war god be? Thinking of this, the Shuren king's heart was covered with a layer of shadow. Long Lai. You are indeed worthy of being the strongest genius of the dragon clan since ancient times. Let Luo Feng go, and I can pretend that nothing happened today, said disciplined King Xian Wu indifferently. His voice was extremely old and it sounded like thunder exploding in the void. It was extremely terrifying. Pretend that nothing happened today? Ha ha ha. Your war god temple is indeed arrogant. If you want to take Luo Feng away, then defeat this king first. Long Lai's eyes revealed a cold glint as he sneered. The mysterious Xian Wu Shakyamuni in front of him was very arrogant. It was a kind of indifference that came from his bones. He saw the common people in the world as ants. It was as if Long Lai could only be slightly valued by him. As for the Shuren king and the others, it was as if he didn't even put them in his eyes. Long Lai, don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you are a titled supreme martial artist. You must know that this world is vast and mysterious. Titled supreme martial artists are just big ants. If you want to die, I don't mind fulfilling your wish. Disciplined King Xian Wu looked at Long Lai indifferently. Kill me? Then I would like to give it a try. Long Lai's eyes were filled with killing intent, revealing a strong and unparalleled fighting spirit. He could feel that the disciplined King Xian Wu before him was very strong. Perhaps he was stronger than him, but not to the extent that he could not fight back. Since you want to die, then go to hell. Disciplined King Xian Wu said indifferently and instantly attacked. Boom! A terrifying fist radiance flew towards Long Lai. It was silent, but the surrounding void started to shatter rapidly. The void turbulence surged, as if eternal darkness had descended, shrouding the entire Azura sect. Kill! The sky trembled. Long Lai's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He threw a punch across the sky, and a dazzling golden light lit up the sky. It was like a soaring divine light, rushing towards disciplined King Xian Wu. Boom! The 2 fists collided, and the earth shook. The 49 mountains of Azura sect trembled violently, and a terrifying shockwave swept out in all directions, causing a few mountains in the distance to crumble. Long Lai's body shook, and he was sent flying by disciplined King Xian Wu's punch. Again. Long Lai's eyes were filled with killing intent, and he continued to attack disciplined King Xian Wu. The surrounding power of law was extremely violent. Moreover, he rushed towards the 9 heavens, wanting to leave the War God continent and head to the extraterritorial world to fight with disciplined King Xian Wu. Disciplined King Xian Wu did not seem to want to fight here. He fought fiercely with Long Lai, and headed towards the extraterritorial world at the same time. After disciplined King Xian Wu and Long Lai left, the people of Azura sect heaved a sigh of relief. Disciplined King Xian Wu gave them too much pressure. That terrifying aura was like the end of the world, and everyone felt suffocated. Luo Feng, disciplined King Xian Wu has left. Prepare to die. The Shuren king's eyes flashed with killing intent, and together with the 4 elders of Azura sect, they surrounded Luo Feng. Ha ha ha. Shuren king, if Long Lai was here, you might be able to keep me here. But Long Lai has left. Do you think you can keep me here? Luo Feng's eyes were filled with cold laughter. Rumble. At this moment, a bright light shone behind Luo Feng. White light surged, and a figure in white clothes walked out of the void, exuding a terrifying aura. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. This white figure was the divine general Time that he had seen before. The impermanence divine general had died at his hands. Wang! Heaven and earth trembled as the white-robed figure slashed out with his sword. Large pieces of the void were shattered, and a crack appeared on the originally incomparably powerful Great Azura Divine Formation. Swoosh! Luo Feng's eyes flashed, and he rushed out of the Great Azura Divine Array. Ha ha ha! Shuren King, you can't kill me. When I become a titled martial artist, it will be your death. At that time, the entire Azura sect will die. Luo Feng's eyes flashed with cold killing intent, and he turned into a ray of light with the divine general Time and disappeared into the void. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He saw the divine general Time looking at him before he left, and there was a strange look in his eyes. Damn it! The Shuren King's eyes were cold, and the 4 supreme elders behind him had ugly looks on their faces. If Luo Feng was trapped by the Great Azura Divine Array, they might be able to keep him here. Chapter 736. Luo Feng was a rank 9 Supreme Realm martial artist. The Shuren King and the 4 Supreme Elders were unable to keep him here. Forget it. Let him go. Long Lai is not here and we have no way of keeping him here. The Shuren King sighed as a desolate look appeared in his eyes. His original plan was to wait for Luo Feng to return from outer space and use Long Lai's power to kill Luo Feng. However, he did not expect Luo Feng to be able to summon Discipline King Xuanwu in an instant. Furthermore, it seemed like Discipline King Xuanwu was even more powerful than Long Lai. Sect Master, Luo Feng might not be able to leave so easily. I wonder if the sect has Luo Feng's life spirit tablet. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. Life spirit tablet. He is the supreme elder of Xiaolua sect. Naturally, he has a life spirit tablet. Are you trying to use the primordial spirit power on the life spirit tablet to find Luo Feng's whereabouts? However, even if we find Luo Feng's whereabouts, we will not be able to keep him here with our strength. Furthermore, there is a mysterious man in white beside him. I'm afraid that he is also a powerful divine general. The Shuren King's eyes revealed a trace of doubt as he bitterly laughed. No. Sect Master, take out Luo Feng's life spirit tablet. We will know in a while. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and did not explain further. Although the Shuren King was confused, he still followed Ling Zhao's request and took out Luo Feng's life spirit tablet. In the boundless empty space turbulence. Time God General, where are we going? I think we should look for Discipline King Xuanwu and destroy the Xiaolua sect. Otherwise, if the Xiaolua sect reveals my relationship with the Combat God Hall, it will affect our plans. Luo Feng looked at the Time God General beside him with a vicious look in his eyes. The Combat God wants to see you. Over there. The Time God General said faintly as he pointed forward. What? The Combat God wants to see me? Luo Feng's body shook as his eyes were filled with joy. He immediately looked in the direction that the Time God General was pointing at. There was a dazzling light as if a mysterious figure was forming. Luo Feng did not notice that behind him, a white sword radiance that flowed with the mysterious power of time instantly pierced towards him. Puff! The sword beam was not obstructed in the slightest. It pierced into Luo Feng's body in an instant. A terrifying power exploded, bringing with it a terrifying power that could obliterate everything. What? Time General, what are you trying to do? Luo Feng's expression changed drastically. By the time he felt the fatal danger, it was already too late. The sword light that contained the power of time had already pierced into his body and was rapidly destroying his vitality. Naturally, I'm going to kill you. A dazzling light exploded in front of him like a rain of light. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with disbelief and resentment, but he didn't have the slightest strength to resist and disappeared in an instant. It was as if it had never appeared in this world. It had been completely obliterated. The second one, I hope it's not too late. The Divine General of Time sighed gently. A sliver of vicissitude appeared in his eyes, and his presence became rather weak. He had killed Luo Feng with a single sword strike. Although it seemed easy and unexpected, he knew the price he had to pay for it. That was the price of burning one's lifespan. Buzz! The divine general of time's figure instantly disappeared in the turbulence of the void as if he had never appeared. In the Azura sect, Luo Feng's life jade shattered instantly. What? Luo Feng is dead? The Shuren King's eyes widened in disbelief. Ling Xiao had asked him to take out Luo Feng's life jade. He thought that Ling Xiao wanted to use a secret technique to track Luo Feng's whereabouts. He didn't expect Luo Feng's life jade to shatter after a short while. It's just as I thought. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a glint. Last time, the Time General had killed the Impermanence Divine General. This time, the Time General had killed the Azura Divine General. Ling Xiao's guess had been confirmed. The mysterious Time General seemed to have a deep grudge against the War God Hall. He had specifically targeted the War God Hall's divine generals. However, Ling Xiao was slightly worried. The War God Hall was unfathomable. Even the Xuanwu Discipline King was a titled sovereign. Wasn't the Time General afraid of being discovered by the War God Hall? Ling Xiao, what's going on? The Shuren King was shocked as he asked Ling Xiao in confusion. He could faintly feel that Ling Xiao had already known that Luo Feng would die. It must be the Time General. However, this matter must be kept a secret. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He didn't hide anything from the Shuren King and told him about how the Time General had killed the Impermanence Divine General. The Time General is so mysterious. Why did he do this? The Shuren King was shocked and his heart was filled with doubts. At the same time, he was extremely shocked. The Time General's cultivation was definitely not a titled sovereign. However, he was able to kill Luo Feng in an instant. This showed how terrifying his combat strength was. Even Long Lai would find it difficult to kill Luo Feng in such a short period of time. Ling Xiao thought about the sword that the Time General had used to kill the Impermanence Divine General. It contained a vast and mysterious power of time. The terrifying forbidden power seemed to be able to erase everything. In the face of time, even a titled sovereign would find it difficult to resist, let alone a sovereign. The battle between Long Lai and the Xuanwu Discipline King lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, Ling Xiao saw Long Lai and Fire Phoenix Prime returning from the outer realm. It turned out that Fire Phoenix Prime had also come and joined forces with Long Lai to fight the Xuanwu Discipline King. In the end, they were evenly matched and retreated. The Xuanwu Discipline King is indeed terrifying. However, when I condense the true dragon body, I won't be any weaker than him. Long Lai sighed softly as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Ling Xiao then told Long Lai about the Divine General of Time and Luo Feng. Long Lai and Fire Phoenix Sovereign were also very shocked. Such a mysterious Time General had appeared in the War God Temple and was constantly killing people from the War God Temple. This made them extremely puzzled. However, even after thinking about the countless sovereigns in the War God continent, they still couldn't figure out who the Time General was. Ling Xiao, the War God Temple's actions are getting bigger and bigger. I'm afraid that they are planning some scheme. How about you not participate in this year's Heaven's Choice meeting? Long Lai glanced at Ling Xiao worriedly and said. Chapter 737. That's right. Ling Xiao, come back with us. Long Lai and I will teach you together. We guarantee that you will become a supreme being within 100 years. Fire Phoenix Supremacy said softly. 2 titled supremacies teaching at the same time was something that countless peerless geniuses dreamed of. Perhaps an ordinary person would immediately agree. But who was Ling Xiao? He was the strongest person in the world 10,000 years ago. He didn't need anyone to teach him. Moreover, 100 years was too long for Ling Xiao. I can't wait for 100 years. I must participate in the Sky Choice meeting this time. I will become a supreme being in the meeting. No matter what the War God Temple is plotting, what I need to do now is to raise my cultivation. In the face of absolute strength, all schemes are just fleeting clouds. Ling Xiao sighed softly as a trace of determination appeared in his eyes. He had awakened the memories of his previous life at the age of 15. It had only been 5 years, but he had already grown to such a terrifying level. If others were to know about this, they would probably be scared to death. However, Ling Xiao knew that he had to quickly recover the cultivation of his previous life, or even surpass it. Jean Sei had been waiting for him for 10,000 years in the lonely Origin Sea. He had to find her as soon as possible. Seeing Ling Xiao's determination, Long Lai nodded and said, "All right then. Only experts below the Supreme Being realm can participate in the Sky Choice meeting. With your cultivation, I naturally have nothing to worry about. However, you must be careful. You must be wary of the War God Temple." "All right." Ling Xiao smiled faintly and nodded. Originally, the Crystal Palace, Shura Sect, and Blazing Mountain were prepared to send their genius disciples into the Time Cave for training. However, the appearance of the War God Temple cast a shadow over everyone's hearts. In the end, Long Lai, Xiuren Wang, and Fire Phoenix Supremacy discussed and decided to send Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, Phoenix Maiden, and Lin Hui. They were already half-step Supreme Beings. If they could obtain an opportunity in the Time Cave, it would only be a matter of time before they became Supreme Beings. Moreover, with Ling Xiao's protection, they felt much more at ease. In the end, after they finished their discussion, they returned and agreed to meet at Shura Sect a month later to head to the Time Cave together. During this month, Ling Xiao remained in the Shura Sect to continue cultivating. The Great Fate Divination technique is mysterious and unfathomable. It involves the illusory power of destiny. Perhaps it will be of vital importance to my trip to the Time Cave. The sword spirit of the heaven-devouring sword had already taken initial form. And, it had already recovered the fighting strength of a supreme weapon. So, he might be able to find that thing in the Time Cave if he wanted to recover the strength of a divine weapon. The most important thing is the ancestral dragon's secret art. My heavenly dragon body has reached perfection and I have the 12th rank Blood Lotus. If I can find those complete divine items in the Time Cave, I'll be able to condense a true dragon body. At that time, I'll be able to move unhindered in the Time Cave. No matter what schemes the War God Temple had, his own strength was the most important. Even though the Heaven's Fate Divination art predicts that there is no chance of survival in this year's chosen convention, I still have to do my best to find a way to break out of this situation. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in a secret chamber and sorted out his strength. At the same time, he had a preliminary plan for the upcoming chosen convention. The Time Cave was mysterious and unfathomable. It could be said to be the most mysterious underworld among the 8 great forbidden zones. It contained the power of time and was rumored to be the remains of an ancient battle between gods. There were many secret realms, treasures, and inheritances within. The chosen convention attracted the geniuses of the entire War God continent. It wasn't just the rewards of the War God Temple that attracted them. More importantly, it was the opportunities within the Time Cave. It was said that one could even exchange for the power of time in the Time Cave. Many half-step Supremes who were nearing the end of their lifespans would pay a price in the Time Cave in exchange for time. There were many such examples in the history of the War God continent. Therefore, the chosen convention was a grand event for the entire War God continent. Even though there was still more than a month to go, countless experts had already rushed to the Time Cave. In this 1 month, Ling Xiao's comprehension of the Heaven's Fate Divination art didn't increase by much. However, his cultivation had become more stable. On this day, Long Zhantian, Phoenix Maiden, and Lin Hui had all arrived at the Azura sect. Long Zhantian and Li Jingming were the same. They had already passed the tribulation of 3 divisions. Their essence, energy, and spirit had all been condensed. Their cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. Lin Hui had passed the tribulation of 2 divisions and was about to break through to the tribulation of 3 divisions. Only Phoenix Maiden's cultivation was slightly lower. She had only just broken through to half-step Supremes. However, she possessed the bloodline of the Black Wind. She had also obtained the true Phoenix secret technique from Ling Xiao. Her combat strength was extremely strong. If she could obtain an opportunity in the time cave, she would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao, Li Jingming, Long Zhantian, Phoenix Maiden, and Lin Hui were the 5 people who would participate in the chosen convention. Let's go. Long Lai glanced at the 5 of them and slowly said. This time, Long Lai had decided to personally escort them to the time cave. It must be because of the strength displayed by the war god temple that even Long Lai couldn't help but feel apprehensive. Okay. Ling Xiao and the other 4 nodded. Their eyes revealed a trace of anticipation. This time, the heavenly god assembly would be filled with geniuses and monstrous geniuses. Especially the top 10 monstrous geniuses on the Azure Sky ranking. They were all filled with anticipation. They wanted to display their skills in the chosen convention and shake the war god continent. Buzz! Long Lai waved his sleeves and instantly swept up Ling Xiao and the other 4. A resplendent light broke through the void before them and Long Lai stepped in. The time cave was located in the center of the war god continent. It was within a mysterious mountain range. The time cave was vast and boundless. However, the entrance was a huge cave that contained a terrifying chaotic power of time. Even a supreme being expert would die without a doubt if they accidentally entered. Heaven Choice City was the closest ancient city to the time cave. It was said that it had existed for hundreds of thousands of years. It contained mysterious supreme being Dao marks. It was a sacred city. It was even said that Heaven Choice City was the place where the Scarlet Dragon War God comprehended the Dao. It was extremely mysterious. Every year, countless geniuses would come here to make a pilgrimage. During this period of time, because the chosen convention was about to begin, Heaven Choice City became incomparably lively. Countless young geniuses and peerless geniuses of the War God continent rushed to Heaven Choice City. Heaven Choice City's void teleportation array became extremely crowded. At every moment, countless people would rush out from it. Long Lai brought Ling Xiao and the other 4 through the void and arrived in front of Heaven Choice City. Ling Xiao, the 5 of you go to Heaven Choice City first. I'm going to meet an old friend. When the chosen convention begins, I'll come to find you. Long Lai said a few words to Ling Xiao and left. Okay. Ling Xiao smiled and walked towards Heaven Choice City with Long Zhantian and the others. Ling Xiao, this is bad. Just as they arrived at the entrance of Heaven Choice City, Long Zhantian's expression suddenly changed. A trace of a bitter smile appeared on his face. What's going on? Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. I sensed Ao Tian's aura. Royal Father didn't allow him to participate in the chosen convention and even grounded him. I didn't expect this kid to be so crafty. I don't know what's going on, but he actually came to Heaven Choice City. Long Zhantian shook his head helplessly. He sensed a very familiar aura. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he immediately saw Long Outyen, who was standing in front of the queue to enter the city, preparing to enter. It was indeed this kid. Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of a strange look. He walked up and pulled Long Outyen's ear. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Bastard, who dares to pull this dragon's ear? Long Outyen was furious and immediately cursed. But when he turned his head and saw Ling Xiao's smile, his entire body trembled. Chapter 738. Cousin, you're here. Where's the old man? The old man isn't with you, right? Long Outyen was so scared that he quickly hid behind Ling Xiao. He stuck his head out and saw that only Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, Lin Hui, and Phoenix Maiden were there. Scared me to death. Long Outyen heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like he was scared out of his wits. Outyen, you're getting more and more outrageous. The Heaven's Choice Convention is such a dangerous place. Is it a place where you can casually go? I'll tell father later and let him bring you back. Long Zhantian's gaze was solemn as he glared at Long Outyen. Big brother, you can't tell the old man. Long Outyen jumped in fright and quickly ran over to hug Long Zhantian's arm. Big brother, don't worry. After entering the Heaven's Choice Convention, I'll listen to you and cousin. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. No, it's still too dangerous. Long Zhantian's attitude was very firm. Countless geniuses had gathered in this Heaven's Choice Convention. The top 10 monstrous geniuses on the Azure Cloud Roll would all come. Even he had to be cautious, let alone Long Outyan. Cousin, I beg you. As long as you don't tell the old man, I'll do whatever you tell me. Long Outyan saw that Long Zhantian's attitude was firm. He rolled his eyes and immediately ran over to hug Ling Xiao's leg. He looked like he wouldn't get up if Ling Xiao didn't agree. Ling Xiao glanced at Long Outyan and pondered for a moment. Ling Xiao, don't tell me you really want to bring Outyan into the time cave? It's too dangerous. Long Zhantian was a little anxious. No matter, let's enter the Heaven's Choice City first. I remember that there's a great opportunity in the time cave. If Outyan can obtain it, his strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of light as he smiled faintly. What great opportunity! Long Outyan immediately became interested and quickly asked. Let's enter the city first. Ling Xiao smiled and kept them in suspense as he walked towards the Heaven's Choice City. Long Zhantian and the rest also followed behind. The Heaven's Choice City looked ancient and heavy, exuding a majestic aura. The city walls were several hundred meters tall and were completely gray in color. They looked mottled and flowed with the aura of time. Legend has it that the stones used to build Heaven's Choice City came from the outer regions of the time cave. They were extremely hard and carried a mysterious aura of time. Ling Xiao and the rest followed behind the long queue and entered Heaven's Choice City. The streets of Heaven's Choice City were wide with majestic palaces and pavilions on both sides. It looked very lively with countless powerful auras coming and going. Each of them carried an extremely confident aura. It was less than a month before the start of the Heaven's Choice Convention. Many genius powerhouses of the Martial Dao Holy Land had already arrived at the Heaven's Choice City in advance. Ling Xiao noticed that the young geniuses of Heaven's Choice City were at least at the Monarch Realm, and many were at the Quasi-Exalt Realm. There were also many old monsters who were nearing the end of their lifespans. There was no lack of experts who had passed the tribulations of 3 or 4 symbols. All of their auras were monstrous and unfathomable. There was no age limit to the Heaven's Choice Convention. As long as one was below the Sovereign Realm, one could participate. So many old monsters were prepared to enter the time cave and take a gamble. If one could attain the Sovereign Realm, one would obtain a lifespan of 10,000 years. If one failed, one would die. The Heaven Profound Convention was hosted by the War God Temple. The War God Temple was incomparably mysterious. The entire War God continent didn't know where the War God Temple was located. They only knew that Heaven's Choice City was the only city controlled by the War God Temple. So no one dared to act rashly in Heaven's Choice City. However, with so many Martial Dao Holy Lands gathered here, it was inevitable that there would be some grudges that needed to be resolved. So, Heaven's Choice City had set up a life and death arena for those powerhouses who had grudges to resolve their grudges in the life and death arena. Ling Xiao, you're here. Ha ha ha, come find me. I'm at the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. Ling Xiao had just entered Heaven's Choice City when he heard a voice in his mind. Daoist Wuliang. Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He hadn't expected that Daoist Wuliang would also be in Heaven's Choice City. Moreover, he was actually in the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. The Heaven's Pride Pavilion was the most famous restaurant in Heaven's Choice City. It was said that only peerless geniuses and monstrous geniuses could enter. Come, let's go to the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. Ling Xiao's eyes moved. Immediately, he walked towards the Heaven's Pride Pavilion with Long Zhantian and the others. The Heaven's Pride Pavilion was located in the depths of Heaven's Choice City. It was a huge restaurant that was hundreds of feet tall. It looked very majestic and was emitting a strange power of array. The words Heaven's Pride Pavilion were flamboyant and flamboyant. It emitted a bright light. As long as one arrived here, they would be able to see it. The Heaven's Pride Pavilion had a total of 9 floors. Each floor was incomparably spacious. Ling Xiao saw that many people had already arrived at the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. They were all imposing and extraordinary young geniuses. Ling Xiao, I'm on the 9th floor. Come up quickly. Your old lover is also here. Taoist Wu Yang's voice sounded. The 9th floor of the Heaven's Pride Pavilion was only accessible to those who had reached the half-step sovereign realm and were under 100 years old. Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. He did not expect Taoist Wu Yang to have reached the half-step sovereign realm. It seemed that Taoist Wu Yang had also encountered a lot of opportunities during this period of time. Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, and Lin Hui were all famous geniuses. They represented the 3 holy lands respectively. When they reported their identities, the beautiful maids of the Heaven's Pride Pavilion immediately led them to the 9th floor. On the 9th floor of the Heaven's Pride Pavilion, there were hundreds of tables. Each table was made of precious spiritual wood. The 4 sides of the table were made of glass. It was almost possible to have a panoramic view of the entire Heaven's Choice City. Ling Xiao and the others arrived at the 9th floor. They saw that there were already dozens of young experts with extraordinary auras. They were all half-step sovereigns. When Taoist Wu Yang saw Ling Xiao, his eyes lit up. Ling Xiao, here. Taoist Wu Yang sat by the window. He was dressed in a white Taoist robe and held a horsetail whisk in his hand. He looked like an immortal with a jade-like appearance. Opposite him was Yueshan. She was dressed in a white robe. Her hair was like a waterfall. Her entire body was enveloped in moonlight. She emitted a cold aura and was peerless. She was like a goddess from the Moon Palace. Beside Taoist Wu Yang, there was another person that Ling Xiao did not expect. It was the 9th princess of the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon, Yuanwan. Yuanwan's cultivation was only at the monarch realm. At this moment, she was still dressed in green armor. Her face was gentle and beautiful, and her figure was slender. She looked valiant and formidable. However, she sat beside Taoist Wu Yang. Her eyes were filled with tenderness and her cheeks were red. She looked like a virtuous wife. It can't be, right? Taoist Wu Yang actually managed to seduce Yuanwan. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a strange look. Chapter 739. Where have you been all this time? Could it be that you went to the ancient kingdom of Dragon? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked at Yuanwan, who was beside Taoist Wu Yang. Ling Xiao realized that Taoist Wu Yang had already passed the tribulation of the 4 symbols and was only half a step away from the supreme realm. It's a secret. But this time, I helped you take revenge. You have to treat me to a drink. At the same time, I helped Wanwan solve the problem of the ancient kingdom of Dragon. Taoist Wu Yang smiled mysteriously. Help me take revenge? What do you mean? Ling Xiao was confused. Yueshan smiled and said, over the past year, Star Palace, Nantian Family, Emperor Tomb Mountain, and other martial arts sanctuaries that have a grudge with you have all been visited by this Taoist priest. Many treasures have been lost in their tombs. Now, those martial arts sanctuaries are furious and can't wait to tear him into pieces. Ling Xiao looked at Taoist Wu Yang speechlessly and said, tomb raiding. You actually did it? Then why did you still dare to swagger around here? Aren't you afraid that those sanctuaries will seek revenge on you? Taoist Wu Yang said indifferently, those dregs want to catch me. They must be dreaming. Wait until I enter the time cave and become a supreme realm cultivator. Then, I'll go visit their sanctuaries. It's a pity that I only went around the periphery and didn't go deep into the tombs. If I had robbed their founder's tomb, I would have found many good things. Taoist priest, what treasures did you steal? Show them to me. When Long Outyen heard that Taoist Wu Yang had robbed the tombs of the sanctuaries, his eyes lit up and he urged him. Do you want to see? I'll show you later. Do you want me to bring you along next time? Taoist Wu Yang pinched Long Outyen's chubby little face and said in a seductive tone. Taoist Wu Yang, How dare you lead my brother astray? I'm not done with you. Long Zhantian immediately pulled Long Outyan behind him and glared at Taoist Wuliang vigilantly. Long Outyan was already naughty and mischievous enough. If he was tricked into robbing tombs by Taoist Wuliang, the dignified ninth prince of the dragon clan would actually become a tomb robber. Perhaps he would really become a street rat, hated by everyone. Thinking of that scene, Long Zhantian could not help but shudder. With such good aptitude, if you take me as your master, you will sooner or later become a paragon and dominate the world. What a pity. Taoist Wuliang glanced at Long Outyan and chuckled. Following that, Taoist Wuliang told Ling Xiao about his experiences during this period of time. It turned out that Taoist Wuliang had been robbing tombs along the way. Furthermore, he had specifically picked the ancestral tombs of the martial arts Holy Lands. These martial arts Holy Lands hated him so much that they had sent experts to hunt him down. In the end, Taoist Wuliang met Yuanwan in the ancient kingdom of Dragon. The ancient kingdom of Dragon had fallen into chaos during this period of time because the mortal emperor and crown prince had been possessed by the extraterrestrial demon. The remaining crown princes fought against each other in order to seize the throne of the mortal emperor. However, Taoist Wuliang somehow managed to convince the other crown princes to support Yuanwan as the empress of the ancient kingdom of Dragon and quell the rebellion in the ancient kingdom of Dragon. After being cleansed by the draconic energy, Yuanwan's cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. She had already reached the peak of the 9th level monarch realm and was only a step away from breaking through to the half-step paragon realm. Taoist Wuliang had also captured Yuanwan's heart. She had willingly followed Taoist Wuliang to the heavenly selection meeting this time. The crown princes of the ancient kingdom of Dragon were willing to give up the throne of the mortal emperor to support the 9th princess. What method did you use? Ling Xiao asked curiously. After all, Yuanwan was the youngest princess. Even if the throne was inherited according to the order of succession, it would not be her turn. Moreover, she was a woman. How could the ancient kingdom of Dragon be willing to support an empress? I have a brilliant plan. I'm not telling you. Taoist Wuliang chuckled. Ling Xiao glared at him in annoyance. However, Ling Xiao had already guessed that Taoist Wuliang's ability to bewitch people had become even more powerful. Don't you dare use your methods to harm innocent girls. Ling Xiao said, implying something. Don't worry, Wanwan and I are truly in love. Taoist Wuliang said shamelessly with a smug look on his face. Yuanwan, who was beside him, did not object. Instead, she stared at Taoist Wuliang affectionately. Her face was blushing and her beauty was moving. Long Zhantian and Li Jingming looked at each other and smiled bitterly. This Taoist Wuliang was really capable to make the empress of the ancient kingdom of Dragon be so loyal to him. Ling Xiao and the others were chatting. However, they had already set up a layer of restriction so that no one could hear what they were saying. The moon goddess and the phoenix maiden were peerlessly beautiful and attracted the attention of many. The moon goddess wore a long white robe and her entire body was shrouded in the cold moonlight. Her hair was like a waterfall and her skin was whiter than snow. Her entire body exuded a cold and refined temperament. She was like an otherworldly goddess, making people feel ashamed of their inferiority at first glance. The phoenix maiden wore a black dress. Her figure was graceful and her curves were exquisite. She was extremely hot and her entire body exuded a seductive aura. It was hard not to attract attention when the two of them sat together. Those two should be the moon goddess of the moon palace and the phoenix maiden of the mountain of flames, right? They're indeed peerless. If I'm not wrong, they should be the eldest disciple of the Shura sect, Li Jingming, the eldest prince of the Crystal Palace, Long Zhantian, and Lin Hui of the Mountain of Flames. The strongest cultivators of the 3 great demon sacred grounds are all here. I wonder where the sky-burning demon emperor is? Sky-burning demon emperor? That's a ruthless person on the green cloud roll. Even if he was defeated by Ling Xiao, I heard that he has recently cultivated another peerless martial art. He'll definitely shine in this year's chosen one. Who's sitting between the moon goddess and the phoenix maiden? That kid really has great fortune. He wouldn't be Ling Xiao, right? The gazes of everyone flickered while some discussed in low voices and guessed the identities of Ling Xiao and the others. In the end, someone's gaze descended onto Ling Xiao, and he spoke with slight surprise and bewilderment. Ling Xiao. That's really possible. He seems to only be at the half-step exalt realm, and he hasn't even overcome the earth tribulation. How did he defeat the sky-burning demon emperor that day? All of you don't know, right? Supposedly, Ling Xiao was only at the 9th level of the monarch realm when he defeated the sky-burning demon emperor. Supposedly, he's the nephew of the Dragon King, Long Lai. He possesses the bloodline of a true dragon and possesses extraordinary natural talent. Someone's curiosity had been aroused by Ling Xiao, and they started discussing in low voices. Ling Xiao, besides those 9 fellows on the Ascension rankings, there are probably some others that you have to be careful of. Chapter 740. Who else? My cousin has already slaughtered 2 supreme beings. He's not even afraid of those on the Azure Sky Roll, let alone those who aren't on the Azure Sky Roll. Long Outyen said in disbelief. That's not the case. Taoist Wuliang smiled faintly and said, the top 10 prodigies on the Azure Sky Roll can indeed represent the top prodigies of the War God Continent's younger generation. However, there are still some who aren't famous but aren't any weaker than the prodigies on the Azure Sky Roll. Look at that person. Taoist Wuliang's gaze landed in the distance. Sitting by the window was a young man in green armor. He was tall and slender, with a jade-like face. His expression was incomparably calm as he drank by himself. For some reason, Ling Xiao looked at the young man in green armor with a sharp glint in his eyes. He actually felt a faint sense of danger. That young man's name is Qing Yun. He has already passed the tribulation of 4 symbols. He just came to Heaven's Choice City not long ago. No one knows where he came from, but someone saw him kill a primordial ferocious beast with a single spear strike. His physical body is strong, and he possesses the supreme lightning Dao divine ability. He's a formidable opponent. As if noticing Taoist Wuliang's gaze, the young man raised his head slightly. There seemed to be a trace of chaotic lightning in his eyes, containing endless mystery and majesty. Qing Yun. He's really strong. Ling Xiao nodded. There's also that one. Taoist Wuliang's gaze landed on another table. The table was filled with all kinds of delicious delicacies and nectar. There was a fat man who looked like a mountain of meat. His eyes were so small that they almost couldn't be seen. He was holding a huge leg of lamb and eating heartily. That fat pig's name is Zhu Biao. His origin is very mysterious. He should be the successor of a powerful ancient race. He also passed the tribulation of 4 symbols. However, this fat pig wanted to tease the moon goddess, so I fought with him. However, this fat pig's physical body is invincible and his defense is extremely strong. I couldn't break through his defense at all and was almost bitten by him. Taoist Wuliang's eyes were filled with resentment. Invincible physical body. Ling Xiao's gaze turned solemn. He was well aware of Taoist Wuliang's strength. Now that he had passed the tribulation of 4 symbols, his true battle strength was probably not weaker than Ling Xiao's. However, even Taoist Wuliang said that he could not break through Zhu Biao's defense. This showed how terrifying this person was. Ling Xiao could faintly feel that Zhu Biao's mountain-like body contained an extremely terrifying power. It shouldn't be a human. Could it be a divine beast? Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and made a mental note of it. Zhu Biao raised his head and grinned at Taoist Wuliang, then gave Moon Goddess and Phoenix Maiden a lustful look. After that, he picked up the lamb leg and began to chew on it. There's also Jian Wushuang from the Sword God Pavilion. His heart integrated into the sword is a natural sword cultivator with unparalleled strength. It's said that he passed the 4 symbols tribulation in one go after the holy ground and has the strength to make it to the green cloud ranking. Taoist Wuliang mentioned another person. Ling Xiao had seen Jian Wushuang before in the holy ground. He was indeed a sword fanatic. He had no distractions in his heart and only focused on the sword principle. At that time, he, Long Zhantian, and Li Jingming had all passed the tribulation of one symbol. Ling Xiao did not expect him to be the first to pass the tribulation of 4 symbols in such a short time. All in all, this year's Chosen One convention is not simple. Other than the few that I mentioned, there will be many genius experts from the holy grounds and hidden sections. They may not make it to the Green Cloud ranking, but their combat power is definitely not to be underestimated. Daoist Wuliang said slowly. As soon as Daoist Wuliang finished speaking, a group of people walked up to the Genius Tower. A group of dignified and extraordinary young geniuses surrounded a young man in a purple robe as they walked up. The young man in the purple robe looked to be in his 20s. He had a heroic figure and looked very handsome. The purple robe on his body was inlaid with the sun, moon, and stars. There was also a scene of thousands of creatures worshipping him. He looked mysterious and unpredictable. His hair was tied up with a jade crown. His expression was calm and there was a faint purple aura in his eyes. He looked majestic and mysterious, like an emperor who ruled the heavens. It's the Star Palace's Ziwei Xing. The 6th on the Green Cloud ranking is indeed the Ziwei Xing. Greetings to the Ziwei Xing. The geniuses on the 9th floor were suddenly in an uproar. Each and every one of them had a look of shock in their eyes. 6th on the Green Cloud ranking, Ziwei Xingzi. He was a half-step supreme being with the tribulation of 4 symbols. He had once killed 2 supreme beings. However, that was a matter of decades ago. Now, Ziwei Xingzi looked even more unfathomable. Many geniuses stood up. Although they were very proud, in front of the Ziwei Xing, they had no right to be proud. However, Qing Yun, Zhu Biao, and Ling Xiao's table did not stand up. Ziwei Xing. Ling Xiao, this is your archenemy. Daoist Wuliang's eyes revealed a strange look. Out of the 5 stars of the Star Palace, Ling Xiao had actually killed 4 of them. Only the Ziwei Xing was left. The appearance of the Ziwei Xing in the Genius Tower immediately made the atmosphere a little strange. Ling Xiao's eyes also revealed a trace of sharpness. The Ziwei Xing did look extraordinary. He had already passed the tribulation of 4 symbols, 3 flowers at one's prominence, 5 qis unification, Zhou Tian as 1, and his body exuded an extremely rich Ziwei Xing's power. His strength was unfathomable. The Ziwei Xing was the Emperor's star and also the first star in the heavens. To be named after the Ziwei Xing, one could see his position in the Star Palace. Ling Xiao. The Ziwei Xing's eyes flashed and he had also discovered Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had killed 4 stars. Everyone in the Star Palace hated him to the core. Naturally, they knew him very well. Ling Xiao did not hide his appearance, so naturally, he was easily discovered by the Ziwei Xing. Everyone's expression became a little strange. Although Ling Xiao was ranked 10th on the Green Cloud ranking, his battle record of killing the leopard demon Reverend had already spread. Many people thought that Ling Xiao's true strength was definitely not ranked 10th on the Green Cloud ranking. The Ziwei Xing was also a peerless genius. He had once killed a supreme being a few decades ago. All these years, he had been cultivating in seclusion. His strength was even more unfathomable. The 2 of them were archenemies. Now that they had met, could it be that they were going to fight in the Genius Tower? Virum. Ling Xiao and the Ziwei Xing looked at each other. Suddenly, it was as if there was a bright light that exploded, causing the entire Genius Tower to become somewhat oppressive. The Ziwei Xing said faintly, "Indeed, you have some strength. No wonder you could kill those 4 pieces of trash." However, even if they were trash, they were still disciples of the Star Palace. Not just anyone can kill them. Using your life to pay for the 4 of them is very fair. Chapter 741. Those who kill will be killed by others. If the disciples of Star Palace can kill, why can't others kill them? My life is here. As long as you have the ability, come and take it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and he did not take Zi Weixing's threat seriously. Young man, don't be too arrogant. Don't think that you have the right to be arrogant just because you defeated the sky-burning demon emperor. You should know that there is always someone better than you. I'll let you live for another 2 days. In the chosen one meeting, I will definitely take your life. Zi Weixing's eyes shot out a ray of light and he said coldly. Don't act tough. You will be struck by lightning. Those who have said such words to me are all dead. I think you won't be an exception. Ling Xiao said faintly. That's right. What bullshit, Zi Weixing. If you have the ability, fight with my cousin. I think it's time for you to give up your 6th place on the Green Cloud ranking. Long Outyin chuckled coldly. Huh? Zi Weixing's eyes turned cold. Forget about Ling Xiao. How dare an 8 or 9-year-old kid mock him? Suddenly, there was a ray of silver light that shot out from his eyes. It contained a strong primordial spirit power and it was as though it wanted to intimidate Long Outyin. Get lost. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he shouted coldly. A strange sound wave exploded and blocked the ray of silver light. How dare you attack a kid? Zi Weixing, do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? There was a flash of murderous intent in Ling Xiao's eyes and his voice was extremely cold. You don't know your manners. I'm just teaching you a lesson on your behalf. If you dare to be so arrogant in the chosen one meeting, I'm afraid you won't even know how you died. Zi Weixing smiled faintly. His gaze fell on Phoenix Girl and Yueshan and he said, both of you are peerless beauties. Don't be fooled by some shameless person. You don't have to worry. Yueshan said faintly. I think the word, shameless, should be used on Zi Wei. At least Ling Xiao wouldn't attack a kid. The Phoenix Maiden also smiled faintly, not giving the Emperor Star any face. The Ziwei Star glanced at Ling Xiao and the others indifferently. He didn't say anything and walked towards another table under the escort of the crowd. Interesting. Was that Ling Xiao? I heard that he'd defeated the Heaven-Scorched Demon Emperor when he was at the 9th level of the Monarch Realm, and he'd killed the Leopard Demon Exalt when he broke through to the Quasi-Exalt Realm. This natural talent really is terrifying. Once he overcomes the tribulation of the 4 symbols, perhaps he really has a chance to battle the freaks in the top 3 of the Ascension rankings. In a corner of the 9th floor, a figure in a black robe with a black veil covering her face, only revealing a pair of beautiful eyes, glanced at Ling Xiao with a hint of curiosity. Behind her were 2 maids dressed in black robes. Both of them looked pretty and were actually half-step Supreme Being cultivators. Young miss, don't tell me you're feeling amorous and want to find us a son-in-law. That Ling Xiao has delicate features and a handsome face. He and Miss are a match made in heaven. One of the maids giggled. Damn girl, see if I don't tear your mouth apart. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll give you to that Ling Xiao to be a bed-warming maid. The black-robed woman glared at her. Hee hee, young miss, you're ranked 8th on the Ascension rankings. You're even more powerful than that Ling Xiao. Moreover, you hid your strength. Otherwise, there would definitely be a place for you in the top 3. That Ziwei Star is really annoying. He actually dares to have ideas about son-in-law. Why don't we teach him a lesson? The 2 maids giggled and said eagerly. Teach Ziwei Star a lesson? Even I don't have the confidence. You 2 better forget it. The black-robed woman's eyes turned, revealing a trace of craftiness. No one knew that this black-robed woman was the 8th on the Ascension rankings, the 9 Nether Devil Sect's little she-devil, Leng Yuyu. Ling Xiao's heart stirred. Feeling someone's gaze, he immediately raised his head and saw Leng Yuyu's clear gaze. Another powerhouse who passed the 4 symbols tribulation. This Heaven Choice City is really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Ling Xiao secretly thought in his heart. That black-robed woman smiled sweetly at him and turned her head away. Ling Xiao felt a very familiar aura from her body. 9 Nether Scripture. Is she someone from the 9 Nether Devil sect? Could she be the 8th on the Ascension rankings, Leng Yuyu? Ling Zhao's heart stirred and guessed Ling Yuyu's identity. Genius powerhouses constantly came to the Heaven's Pride Tower. Everyone was chatting with each other, discussing which famous monstrous geniuses came to Heaven Choice City. Sword God Pavilion's Jian Wushuang and Dugu family's Dugu Shui are in the life and death arena. Everyone, quickly go and take a look. Suddenly, there was a commotion. An incomparably explosive news spread out. What? Jian Wushuang versus Dugu Shui. Quickly go and take a look. The battle between two peerless sword cultivators must not be missed. Dugu Shui is a peerless genius ranked 4th on the Ascension rankings. Jian Wushuang doesn't seem to be on the Ascension rankings at all, right? He's no match for Dugu Shui at all. What's the suspense in this battle? Hee, you don't know about this, right? I heard that Jian Wushuang is a rare sword principle genius. He had a fortuitous encounter in the Holy Ground and his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. He has already passed the 4 symbols calamity and comprehended the supreme unique skill of the Sword God Pavilion, the Sword God skill. Ha ha ha. Sword God skill versus Sword Demon Supreme Scripture. We must not miss it. Quickly go and take a look. The crowd's discussion reached Ling Xiao and the rest's ears. Jian Wushuang is going to fight with Dugu Shui. Let's go and take a look. Li Jingming's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. Jian Wushuang was a famous sword fanatic. Since his debut, he had constantly challenged various geniuses. The more he fought, the braver he became. He was known as the #1 genius of the Sword God Pavilion in the past 10,000 years. It was said that the cultivation of the Sword God's skill was very harsh. It was said that in the Sword God Pavilion, only a supreme master could comprehend it. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang had comprehended it. Although Jian Wushuang was not on the Ascension rankings, the fact that he had comprehended the Sword God's skill was enough to make everyone look forward to it. Jian Wushuang versus Dugu Shui. Interesting. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He immediately left the Genius Tower with Taoist Wuliang and the rest and headed for the arena of life and death. In his previous life, Ling Xiao had 7 true disciples. The second disciple, Dugu Longcheng, was a member of the Dugu family. He wanted to see how far Dugu Shui had cultivated the Sword Demon Supreme Scripture. The arena of life and death did not look big. The stone platform had a radius of 90 feet and was cast with a gray ancient stone. It exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. However, there was a huge space in the arena of life and death that could accommodate many people at the same time. It was said that it was a treasure from ancient times. Even a supreme master could not damage the stone platform. Chapter 742. Since the news of the Heaven's Choice Convention had spread, countless experts had entered Heaven's Choice City. Many of the grudges between experts had been settled in the arena of life and death. But today, because of the battle between Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui, it had attracted the attention of everyone in Heaven's Choice City. Countless people had rushed to the arena of life and death to watch this exceptional battle. Jian Wushuang was dressed in white and had white hair. He carried an ancient sword on his back and stood straight. He was like an unsheathed divine sword, exuding a vast and pure sword essence. His eyes were incomparably sharp, as if they contained 2 blazing divine swords. He stared at Dugu Shui in front of him and was filled with shocking battle intent. Dugu Shui was a young man in his 20s. He wore a blood-red robe and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes seemed to be filled with blood. He carried a black heavy sword on his back. It was pitch black and exuded a terrifying demonic fluctuation. Anyone who looked at it would feel cold all over, as if they had been dismembered by a terrifying sword light. This was Dugu Shui, a peerless genius ranked 4th on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. He cultivated the Sword Demon Supreme Scripture. The black heavy sword in his hand was called the Great Sky Sword. It was a top-grade supreme artifact with unparalleled power. Thank you for being willing to fight with me, Jian Wushuang said seriously. The battle intent in his eyes was blazing as if it had materialized. Don't thank me. I just want to see one of the 3 great sword skills in the world, the sword god skill. After all, the long life secret has disappeared for so long. Now, only the sword god skill is enough to excite me. Dugu Shui said faintly with a bloodthirsty look in his eyes. The 3 great sword skills in the world were the long life secret, the sword god skill, and the sword demon supreme sutra. Legend had it that these were the 3 greatest sword skills in the world. They were all peerless sword skills that could be used by the supreme gods. 10,000 years ago, the long life secret disappeared along with the long life sect. Today, the war god continent only had the sword god skill and the sword demon supreme sutra. Dugu Shui was the first person below the supreme realm to cultivate the sword demon supreme sutra in the Dugu family. Today, the sword god skill finally had a successor. This battle will determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death. Jian Wushuang said slowly with a trace of determination in his eyes. As you wish. Dugu Shui said faintly. Rumble. A vast and terrifying aura rose. The aura around Dugu Shui was violent. The terrifying sword intent condensed like a vast ocean, condensing the space and forming a terrifying sword domain. Jian Wushuang, on the other hand, was like an extremely bright divine sword, cutting through everything and moving forward with an indomitable will. His sword essence was extremely pure. As the 2 powerful sword wills collided, the swords of countless swordsmen around began to buzz and tremble, as if they were worshipping their king. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui's auras rose rapidly, containing a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. At this moment, the 2 of them were actually evenly matched. Just the clash of sword wills alone made the faces of the surrounding experts pale. They felt an extremely oppressive aura. Swordsman, the sharpness of the blade. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He had finally seen the peerless edge of a swordsman. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui were the purest sword cultivators. Ling Xiao, who do you think will win? Daoist Wu Yang asked. I think Dugu Shui will win. After all, he has been ranked 4th on the Azure Cloud ranking for a long time, while Jian Wushuang just had a breakthrough. Even if he cultivated the sword god technique, he did not spend as much time as Dugu Shui on the sword demon supreme sutra. Long Outyan said with his head tilted. It's hard to say. The sword god technique is also one of the 3 great sword techniques. Jian Wushuang is extremely talented and is the purest sword cultivator. His cultivation is similar to Dugu Shui's. This battle cannot be judged based on time alone. I'm afraid it's still unknown who will win. Li Jingming also slowly said, his eyes revealing a trace of seriousness. During the trip to the Holy Ground, Jian Wushuang's strength was on par with his. However, in such a short time, Li Jingming realized that Jian Wushuang's strength had far surpassed his. This did not mean that Li Jingming was too weak, but that Jian Wushuang was too abnormal. Let's wait and see. Ling Xiao did not answer, but there was a strange look in his eyes. He could tell that Dugu Shui had already cultivated the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra to the greater mastery realm. He could condense the Sword Demon territory, which was extremely powerful. Even Ling Xiao would have to expend a lot of effort to break through such power. Jian Wushuang was the first person Ling Xiao could not see through since his rebirth. Jian Wushuang was too pure. He was like a divine sword. Other than sword principle, there was nothing else in his heart. He did not even care about life and death. The only thing that could make him feel excited was the pinnacle of sword principle. Therefore, Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui had no enmity, but they had to enter the arena of life and death to have a sword principle duel. There was great terror between life and death, but there was also the splendor of sword principle. Boom! When the aura between Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui rose to the extreme, the 2 of them attacked almost at the same time. Clang! A bright sword light came across the sky. The long sword in Jian Wushuang's hand was like a Milky Way across the sky. It was dazzling, brilliant, and blazing. The great sky sword in Dugu Shui's hand looked very clumsy, so he simply slashed forward with it. The light in the sky seemed to have disappeared, and darkness descended. The black heavy sword contained an extreme demonic nature, and it burst out with the power of mountains and tsunamis. Rumble. The two swords collided, and a terrifying divine light exploded. The void turbulence surged, and endless chaotic fog spread out. Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui retreated at the same time, and then rushed at each other at an even faster speed. Clang! 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 Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui seemed to have turned into billions of afterimages, and they quickly exchanged blows in the void. Every strike was extremely fast, and every strike contained the most terrifying killing intent. They were testing each other. The Sword God's skill and the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra had not been used, but the momentum caused by them had already caused the world to tremble. It was comparable to a battle between Supreme Masters. Jian Wushuang's eyes were sharp, and his battle intent was soaring. He only had eyes for Duge Shui and the sword in his hand. Jian Wushuang slashed out 7 times in an instant. The dazzling sword light lit up the void, sealed the area, and traversed the sky. It contained the power of great destruction. It was the 7 strokes of heaven interception, a supreme killing skill that was second only to the Sword God's skill in the Sword God Pavilion. It contained the power to cut off the world. Good. Duge Shui's eyes flashed sharply, and the black demonic light around him soared into the sky. It turned into billions of black sword light above the 9 heavens, and flew toward the 7 strokes of heaven interception. Chapter 743. In the arena of life and death, there was a huge formation world with mountains, lakes, flowers, insects, fish, and endless stars. It was like a real world. Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui were fighting in the arena of life and death, and everyone outside could see it clearly. The unparalleled sword essence seemed to pass through the arena of life and death, making everyone outside feel suffocated and depressed. Duge Nine Ju Sword. This is the Duge family's unique sword skill, second only to the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. The collision between the 7 strokes of heaven interception and the Duge Nine Ju Sword, ha ha ha. It's so exciting. The battle of the pinnacle of sword principle, this is a grand occasion for us sword cultivators. Many geniuses and experts who were watching the battle discussed animatedly. In particular, some of the sword cultivators were extremely excited. For sword cultivators on the War God continent, the Duge family and the Sword God Pavilion were the 2 holy lands of sword principle, where countless sword cultivators yearned to go. The battle between Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui made them feel like they were on a pilgrimage. It was as if they had witnessed the battle of the pinnacle of sword principle. Rumble. The Duge Nine Ju sword was extremely swift and fierce. The demon aura in the sky turned into billions of Duge sword chi, which instantly drowned Jian Wushuang's 7 strokes of heaven interception. The terrifying sword light intertwined, one white and one black. It was like the collision of light and darkness, bursting out tens of thousands of divine light. Die! Jian Wushuang's battle intent grew stronger and stronger. The 7 strokes of heaven interception seemed to have become his instinct. Every sword attack had a terrifying sword essence that could destroy the void. The mountains in all directions collapsed with a rumble, turning into fine powder under the unparalleled sword light. The ground was full of crisscrossing ravines. The terrifying sword essence seemed to have transcended the world and reached the supreme sword god realm. Come on! Duge Shui's eyes were filled with demon aura, revealing a hint of madness. He fought like a madman, and the terrifying sword essence rose around him. The black great sky sword flew across the sky like an ancient sacred mountain, constantly suppressing Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's sword principle was exquisite to the extreme. He was like a god from outer space, and every sword contained extremely bright light. Duge Shui, on the other hand, was like a crazy sword demon. The heavy sword in his hand sealed the world and suppressed with a terrifying aura. The 7 swords of heaven interception and the 9 swords of Duge fought fiercely. Those incomparably exquisite sword techniques drew upon the power of the laws of heaven and earth, and they contained terrifying and monstrous power. Everyone was dazzled. Even the half-step supreme masters could not see the figures of Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui. They could only see a white sword light and a black sword light colliding rapidly. Only a few people could clearly see the figures of Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui. Many people's gazes turned solemn. The power and terror of a sword cultivator were evident. They all asked themselves if they would have the courage to fight against Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui. More people were amazed. Jian Wushuang really lived up to his name. He was much younger than Duge Shui, but he broke through everything with a peerless sharpness and stood opposite Duge Shui. Who will win this battle? The same thought appeared in many people's minds. I'm afraid that's hard to say. But I still feel that Duge Shui should be able to win. Although the 7 swords of heaven interception is strong, Jian Wushuang has only comprehended the sword god technique for a short period of time. Duge Shui's sword demon supreme sutra is said to have cultivated to the realm of becoming a demon or a god with a thought. It's unfathomable. An old man with an aged face and turbid eyes said slowly. However, his entire body emitted a mysterious fluctuation of sword intent. Obviously, this old man was also a powerful sword cultivator. It's a pity that Jian Wushuang is too straightforward. No matter who wins, either Jian Wushuang or Duge Shui will die here today. Long Zhantian sighed softly. Die here? That won't happen. Both of them are peerless sword principle geniuses. Wouldn't it be a pity if they died like this? Ling Shao smiled faintly, and a trace of sharpness appeared in his eyes. Oh, Brother Ling, could it be that you have a way? If you can resolve this battle, it will definitely be sword principle's fortune. Li Jingming's eyes also lit up. He had a good relationship with Jian Wushuang, but he felt that Jian Wushuang might not be Duge Shui's opponent. In the end, Jian Wushuang might be the one to die. If Ling Shao could save Jian Wushuang, it would naturally be a good thing. I do have a way, but let's see first. Ling Shao smiled faintly. Ha ha ha. I've seen arrogant people, but I've never seen such arrogance. You dare to say that you can resolve the battle between Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui? What a fool's dream. An ear-piercing voice sounded with a trace of disdain and a cold sneer. Who is it? Taoist Wu Yang and Long Outyen were both furious and immediately turned their heads. They saw the sky-burning demon emperor in red armor. His red hair fluttered in the wind. His figure was strong and handsome, and his entire body exuded a terrifying aura. The blazing flame seemed to be able to burn the void. He stood side by side with Ziwei Xingzi. The surrounding people moved aside, and there was a trace of respect in their eyes. Sky-burning demon emperor. Ling Shao frowned slightly. He did not expect to meet the sky-burning demon emperor here. Moreover, the sky-burning demon emperor and Ziwei Xingzi were walking together. Ling Shao, didn't you say that you could resolve this battle? Do you dare to make a bet with me? The sky-burning demon emperor looked at Ling Shao coldly, and there was a trace of cold killing intent in his eyes. He had been defeated by Ling Shao on the trip to the holy ground. He had always thought that it was a great humiliation. In the end, what happened later made him realize that Ling Shao was actually Long Hanyan's son. This made him even more furious, and he could not wait to kill Ling Shao immediately. He could not even defeat Long Hanyan's son. What right did he have to say that he wanted to marry Long Hanyan? As a result, he even hated Long Hanyan. How do you want to bet? Ling Shao looked at the sky-burning demon emperor indifferently and said. He could see the killing intent in the sky-burning demon emperor's eyes and knew the reason. It must be because the sky-burning demon emperor knew about his background. Very simple. I bet that Duge Shui will survive this battle, and Jian Wushuang will definitely die. The sky-burning demon emperor sneered. Although Jian Wushuang looks strong, one should know that in the holy ground, Jian Wushuang, Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, and a few other experts had joined forces to besiege the sky-burning demon emperor. In the end, they were utterly defeated. The sky-burning demon emperor knew better than anyone how terrifying Duge Shui was because he had once been defeated by Duge Shui. Therefore, he thought that Jian Wushuang would definitely lose and die in this battle. As long as Duge Shui used the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, even if Jian Wushuang had comprehended the Sword God's skill, he would still die. What do you want to bet? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. If I win, you will kneel before me and kowtow 3 times. If I lose, this celestial sun pearl will be yours. The sky-burning demon emperor sneered. There was a flash of light in his hand, and a fist-sized pearl appeared. It emitted a bright red glow and was covered in a layer of blazing sun primordial fire. It was very mysterious. If Ling Xiao knelt before him and kowtowed 3 times, he would have vented his anger. Celestial Sun Pearl. Everyone shuddered and sucked in a breath of cold air. The Celestial Sun Pearl was a top-tier supreme weapon refined by the Great Sun Demon Honorable of the Heavenly Demon Palace. He had collected the essence of the heavens and refined it in the extraterritorial starry sky for thousands of years. It could produce sun primordial fire that could burn the heavens and earth. It was extremely terrifying. Chapter 744. A top-tier supreme artifact. It's a good item indeed, but why don't we play a bigger game? Ling Xiao was not angry. He squinted his eyes and glanced at the sky-scorching demon emperor. What do you want to bet? The sky-scorching demon emperor frowned. Ling Xiao was not satisfied with just a celestial pearl. I need a mount. If you lose, you have to acknowledge me as your master and be my mount. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Do you want to die? The sky-scorching demon emperor's face turned cold, revealing a cold murderous intent. He was instantly enraged. He wanted the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount. Even a supreme being or a deity was not qualified to do so. Who was Ling Xiao? How dare he ask the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount? The crowd was dumbfounded. Ling Xiao was really daring to ask the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount. Everyone knew that the sky-scorching demon emperor's original form was the divine beast Fire Qilin. It was said that the heavenly emperor's mount was the Fire Qilin in ancient times. However, the sky-scorching demon emperor was so proud that he would not be willing to be someone's mount. Ling Xiao had touched the sky-scorching demon emperor's reverse scale. The crowd thought that the sky-scorching demon emperor would fly into a rage. If you don't dare, then forget it. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. That's right. If you don't even dare to bet, then don't embarrass yourself here. Don't tell me you want my cousin to beat you up again. Long Outyen's eyes widened as he chuckled and said. The sky-scorching demon emperor suddenly took a deep breath and said, Fine. I'll bet with you, but if you lose, you have to acknowledge me as your master. The sky-scorching demon emperor's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent as he stared at Ling Xiao. Your Highness, don't be impulsive. This guy is very cunning. I'm afraid that he has a way to win this battle. I'm afraid that the loss will outweigh the gain. Ziwei Xingzi advised with a wry smile when he saw the sky-scorching demon emperor agree so easily. Say no more. I've made up my mind. Ling Xiao, do you dare? The sky-scorching demon emperor looked at Ling Xiao provocatively. Why wouldn't I dare? I'm just afraid that you'll go back on your word. If that's the case, then make a heavenly oath. Ling Xiao smiled and took the lead to make a heavenly oath. Humph. This demon emperor's words carry enormous weight. I'm just afraid that you won't admit it if you lose. Ling Xiao, you've lost for sure this time. The sky-scorching demon emperor snorted coldly and swore an oath. He was very sure of Duge Shui's battle strength. Even he could not take one strike from Duge Shui. No matter how talented Jian Wushuang was, he would definitely lose this battle. The Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was so terrifying that anyone who had seen it was already dead. Legend has it that the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was created by the ancestor of the Dugu family, Dugu Qiubai. At that time, Dugu Qiubai was invincible in the world, roaming the heavens and myriad worlds, but he could not find a single defeat. Although the sword god technique was one of the 3 great sword techniques, it was still no match for the sword demon supreme sutra. Everyone was dumbfounded. Ling Xiao and the sky-burning demon emperor were actually betting. They were betting on their freedom. If they lost, they would have to acknowledge the other as their master. Otherwise, they would be doomed eternally. The sky-burning demon emperor was not that impulsive. However, when he thought that Ling Xiao was Long Hanyan's son, he was burning with jealousy. He wanted to win Ling Xiao at all costs. When Ling Xiao acknowledged him as his master, he could torture Ling Xiao. This perverted mentality was also because of his feelings for Long Hanyan. As the saying goes, the deeper the love, the deeper the hatred. In the life and death arena. Rumble. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui collided rapidly. They had already exchanged hundreds of blows. Every blow was earth-shattering and extremely terrifying. Awesome! The 7 strokes of heaven interception is indeed extraordinary. Next, I'm going to perform the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Even I can't control the power of this sword. You have to be careful. Dugu Shui stood in the air, his black hair fluttering. His eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Alright. Let's see if your Sword Demon Supreme Sutra is stronger or if my Sword God's secret art is stronger. This sword will determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. It was as if he had never known what fear was. Alright, we'll determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death. Dugu Shui's eyes were extremely sharp. He slowly raised the great sky sword in his hand. Rumble. The heaven and earth trembled. Blazing thunderbolts filled the air. The great sky sword was heavy and mysterious. It was like an ancient divine mountain that suppressed chaos, exuding an incomparable aura of emptiness. When the Juntian sword was completely raised, the sky seemed to be torn apart. Endless demonic aura surged. Vaguely, a mysterious figure appeared on the Juntian sword. He stood with his hands behind his back, but he emitted a terrifying aura that made all living things in the world bow their heads. Is that Sword Demon Dugu Qiubai? Legend has it that although the ancestor of the Dugu family, Sword Demon Dugu Qiubai, is no longer around, his spirit has always been in the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Anyone who has comprehended the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra can activate a trace of the Sword Demon's power. This is the power of the Sword Demon. It's not something that humans can do. Everyone's voice was trembling. Their eyes were filled with shock. Boom! Dugu Shui slashed down with his sword. It was as if the sky had shattered and returned to chaos. The mysterious figure merged with the great sky sword and turned into a terrifying sword light that could destroy everything. It shrouded Jian Wushuang. Good timing. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with fighting intent. The great sky sword in his hands suddenly shone brightly. He also slashed across the sky. That sword was resplendent to the extreme. Boundless divine light sword, and the runes exploded. It was as if the mysterious scene of ascension to godhood had appeared. On top of the unparalleled divine sword, a mysterious sword spirit had awakened. This sword did not exist in the mortal world. It was as if a sword god had appeared and lit up the universe. It was so gorgeous that everyone felt that it was unreal. Sword Demon versus Sword God. Jian Wushuang has comprehended the Sword God's skill to such an extent. Sky-burning Demon Emperor was shocked. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Rumble. The arena of life and death turned into a vast expanse of whiteness. Nothing could be seen. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth moved slightly. A mysterious wave passed through the formation and into Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui's ears. What? Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui both trembled. They began to exert all their strength and frantically tried to withdraw the sword. Rumble. Rumble. The sky shook. How could the battle between Sword God and Sword Demon be interrupted so easily? When Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui slashed out, it meant that the sword was no longer under their control. However, at the last moment, Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui's actions worked. Rumble. The sky shattered. Sword God, who shone with eternal light, and Sword Demon, who was filled with demonic aura, were submerged at the same time. Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui were swept away by the terrifying power. They suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and were instantly severely injured. However, their lives were saved. If they had not withdrawn the power of the sword at the last moment, they would have been instantly killed by the sword chi. There would not even be a corpse left. Both sides were injured. Was this a draw? Everyone was stunned. This was a result that no one had expected. The battle between the Sword God and the Sword Demon ended in a draw. Chapter 745. The last stroke, the Sword God's skill versus the Sword Demon's Supreme Sutra, was like a battle between the Sword God and the Sword Demon. It was a battle of life and death. The sky-burning Demon Emperor could see that Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui were likely to perish together. Who would have thought that Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui would stop at the last moment? In the end, it was a draw and both of them were severely injured. Duge Shui, stand up. Stand up and kill him. The sky-burning Demon Emperor muttered to himself with a hint of expectation in his eyes. Duge Shui's injuries were obviously lighter. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang's body was almost broken. He was covered in blood and no longer had the strength to fight. This battle caused everyone to be shaken. Countless young geniuses were boiling with excitement. More than a year ago, Jian Wushuang was no match for the sky-burning Demon Emperor in the Holy Ground. But now, he was on par with Duge Shui. Didn't that mean that Jian Wushuang had the strength to be on the master list? Duge Shui stood up with a complicated look in his eyes. He looked at Jian Wushuang and said, "If we didn't hold back in the last stroke, we would have perished together. But you and I have a mission. I'm afraid we can't die here. Why don't we call it a draw?" Jian Wushuang's eyes were sharp, but he couldn't even stand up. He stared at Duge Shui for a moment and nodded. "Okay, we'll call it a draw. I hope we can fight again in the Chosen One meeting." "Okay, it's a deal," Duge Shui said with a smile. Buzz. The formation of the arena of life and death was opened. The elders of the Sword God Pavilion and the Duge family rushed up and brought Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui down to take healing elixirs. At the same time, the two families breathed a sigh of relief. Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui were rare geniuses. If they died here at the same time, it would be a great loss to the two families. They were most willing to see such an ending. The sky-burning Demon Emperor's face instantly turned ugly. "Sky-burning Demon Emperor, ha ha ha. Hurry up and fulfill the bet. I haven't seen what a pure-blood fire Qilin looks like. Hurry up and show me your true form. Cousin said that you're my mount." Long Outyan was so excited that he almost fainted. He pointed at the sky-burning Demon Emperor and said arrogantly. Previously, Ling Xiao had said that he wanted to capture a divine beast Qilin as his mount, but he did not dare to think too much about it. He did not expect the sky-burning Demon Emperor to deliver himself to him. Ling Xiao also looked at the heaven-burning Demon Emperor with a faint smile. Everyone's eyes fell on the sky-burning Demon Emperor. The sky-scorching Demon Emperor's face turned green. However, he had lost. Even though he was burning with rage, he had no choice but to say patiently, "Ling Xiao, I've lost. This great solar heavenly pearl is yours, and I'll give you another 10 saint herbs." Ling Xiao said indifferently, "I don't think our bet was about this, right? Since you've lost, then acknowledge me as your master. Otherwise, under the backlash of the heavenly oath, I'm afraid it won't be long before you suffer from qi deviation and die." "Ling Xiao, don't go too far." The sky-scorching Demon Emperor's eyes were about to spit fire. He said coldly, "Ling Xiao, I promise that from today onwards, I won't be your enemy. The great solar heavenly pearl and the 10 saint herbs are all yours. Let me go, how about it?" Otherwise, the Sky Demon Palace will fight you to the death. Everyone was stunned. The Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor did not want to fulfill the bet and wanted to go back on his word. However, it made sense. After all, the Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor was the young master of the Sky Demon Palace, the future master of the Sky Demon Palace. He was also a pure-blooded divine beast Fire Qilin. Naturally, he would be arrogant. How could he be willing to acknowledge Ling Xiao as his master and become his mount? However, he must have made a heavenly oath. If he dared to go back on his word, he would be punished by the heavens in an instant. You want to go back on your word? Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor, I didn't expect you to be such a despicable person. A despicable person like you who goes back on his word is not fit to lead the demon race. However, the Sky Demon Palace is full of despicable people. Since that's the case, forget it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were full of mockery. He had expected the Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor to go back on his word. However, this guy had made a heavenly oath, so he was afraid he would suffer. Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor, are you still a man? Going back on your word, who do you think you are? Everyone has seen it. When you die under the oath of the heavenly Tao, don't blame us. Long Outyen said with a cold smile. Fine. I'll acknowledge you as my master. The Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor gritted his teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. His eyes were spitting fire as he glared at Ling Xiao. After that, he walked up without saying a word and bowed to Ling Xiao. Greetings, master. You're my master from now on. Although I agreed to be your mount, I didn't say it would be now. However, master, you have to be careful. If you die in the Heavenly Choice Convention, don't blame me for being impolite. The Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor glared fiercely at Ling Xiao. After that, he turned around and left without waiting for Ling Xiao to speak. His speed was so fast that it could be described as flying. Bastard! Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor, you're not a man. You're cheating. Long Outyen was so angry that he cried out loudly. Seeing such a powerful mount actually run away, he was incomparably depressed. This was also a loophole that the Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor took advantage of. After all, when Ling Xiao made a bet with him, it was impossible for him to explain the bet in detail. The Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor only acknowledged Ling Xiao as his master verbally, but he still refused to be disciplined. Everyone was dumbfounded. How could this be? Ling Xiao patted Long Outyen. He was not angry and smiled indifferently. It's okay. When the Heavenly Choice Convention comes, he'll be my mount sooner or later. At that time, if he doesn't listen to me, I'll beat him until he does. This bastard really got off easy. Long Outyen's face was full of resentment. However, everyone knew that the Sky-Scorching Demon Emperor's reputation would be completely ruined from now on. Ziwei Xingzi glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently and turned to leave. Ling Xiao, how did you know that Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui would draw? Didn't they say that it would be a life-and-death battle? Phoenix Girl asked curiously. Everyone was very curious. After all, in the arena of life and death, it was extremely rare for Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui to stop after a draw. Because I transmitted a message to Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui, saying that they are brothers and should love each other. They shouldn't fight and kill. Do you believe me? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. I don't believe you. Phoenix Girl rolled her eyes and said. At this moment, Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui took healing elixirs and temporarily stabilized their injuries. After that, they walked towards Ling Xiao. Chapter 746. Duge Shui also looked at Ling Xiao with curiosity in his eyes. This young man, who had defeated the Sky-Burning Demon Emperor and entered the Green Cloud ranking, seemed to only be a half-step sovereign. However, he gave off a dangerous feeling. Just now, Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui had stopped fighting because Ling Xiao had said something to them. If you want to know, then follow me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Everyone returned to the Heaven's Pride Pavilion and asked for a private room. Ling Xiao set up a layer of restrictive power, enveloping the entire room. Ling Xiao, Sword God, and Sword Demon are of the same origin. What do these words mean? Dugu Shui looked at Ling Xiao seriously and asked. Before answering your question, I want to ask you a question. What's the relationship between you and Dugu Longcheng? Ling Xiao glanced at Dugu Shui and asked. Dugu Longcheng? How do you know my second grandfather's name? Dugu Shui stared at Ling Xiao with a sharp look in his eyes. Your second grandfather? I just heard that Sky-Devouring Supreme had a true disciple named Dugu Longcheng. I didn't expect it to be true. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered as he smiled faintly. My second grandfather was indeed Sky-Devouring Supreme's second disciple, but he died in the catastrophe 10,000 years ago. Dugu Shui sighed softly. Ling Xiao, does Dugu Longcheng have anything to do with what you told us? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. When he and Dugu Shui were fighting, it was Ling Xiao who said that Sword God and Sword Demon were of the same origin that made them give up the fight. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's mind was filled with these words. Dugu Longcheng has nothing to do with it, but it has something to do with Dugu Qiubai. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Dugu Qiubai? You mean our ancestor? Dugu Shui was shocked. That's right. Jian Wushuang, do you know who left the Sword God skill? Ling Xiao looked at Jian Wushuang and asked. Sword God skill? Of course, it was left by the Sword God, the founder of the Sword God Pavilion. When he mentioned the Sword God, even Jian Wushuang's eyes revealed a hint of reverence. Anyone who practiced the Sword God technique would be able to experience the power of the Sword God. That kind of ultimate state of Sword Dao was simply not something that ordinary people could comprehend. Then do you know who the Sword God is? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly and said, the ancestral master of Sword God is a figure from ancient times. His true identity can no longer be verified. I also don't know his true identity. What if I tell you that the Sword God is Dugu Qiubai? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Dugu Qiubai? This is impossible. Both Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui were shocked. Their eyes were filled with shock as they denied it at the same time. Nothing is impossible. Sword God is Dugu Qiubai, Sword Demon is Dugu Qiubai, and even Old Man Changsheng is Dugu Qiubai. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. There was a trace of emotion in his eyes. Old Man Changsheng. How is this possible? It is said that the longevity secret, one of the 3 great sword skills, was left behind by Old Man Changsheng. If what you said is true, then the 3 supreme sword skills of the War God continent were all left behind by our ancestor, Dugu Qiubai? Dugu Shui was completely shocked. There was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. You are right. The 3 supreme sword skills of the War God continent, Sword God Technique, Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, and Longevity Secret, were all left behind by Dugu Qiubai. Ling Xiao sighed softly and said slowly, there is a kind of person in this world who is born extraordinary. Dugu Qiubai started practicing swordsmanship at the age of 3. At the age of 5, he had already made a name for himself. At the age of 7, he held the meter-long sword and destroyed 38 bandit strongholds. At the age of 11, he left home and wandered around, challenging all the heroes in the world. At the age of 18, he entered the Sword Dao and became a Supreme Master. He killed Supreme Masters, destroyed celestial demons, and guarded the 8 barren lands. At the age of 18, he created the Sword God technique. With one sword, he was invincible. At the age of 18, he lived in seclusion in a valley for 30 years. He observed the heavenly Dao and the human Dao. He entered the demon Dao and created the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. The day he came out of seclusion, he killed 3 titled Supreme Masters and shocked the world. He traveled around the universe and searched for the strongest in the world, but he was defeated by all of them. At the age of 60, he sealed his swordsmanship. He observed the heavenly Tao and derived the mystery of longevity. Finally, he entered the swordless realm. With one sword, he reversed yin and yang, broke through time and space, and cut through the chaos. He created the longevity secret and ascended to the eternal divine world. He left behind a legend for the future generations to know. Ling Zhao's voice was calm, but his words were like thunder that shook the hearts of the people. It was as if they had seen a peerless swordsman who dominated the world and swept away the eternal loneliness of invincibility. Dugu Qiubai, he only wanted to be defeated. What kind of peerless talent was this? What kind of invincibility and loneliness was this? Even Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui were dazzled. They wished they were born in the same era as Dugu Qiubai so they could witness this legend. That's why the sword god art was created by Dugu Qiubai after reaching the supreme realm at the age of 18. At that time, his sword Dao was unstoppable with an unparalleled sharpness. It was a peerless sword. The Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was created by Dugu Qiubai when he was 48 years old. He lived in seclusion in a valley and observed the heavenly Tao and the human Tao. He wanted to defeat the heavens with his own strength. He wanted to rule the world as a demon and be invincible forever. The longevity secret was created by Dugu Qiubai when he was 60 years old. He ascended to the divine world and broke the mystery of longevity. He comprehended the swordless realm and became the sword of heaven's will. Ling Xiao said slowly, therefore, the sword god pavilion, the Dugus, and even the Changsun sect that obtained the longevity secret are all the orthodoxies left behind by Dugu Qiubai. The sword demon and the sword god are of the same origin. It's not wrong to say that the two of you are from the same sect. How do you know about this? Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui stared at Ling Xiao and asked. After hearing Ling Zhao's words, they believed 90% of it. In the last battle of life and death, Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui both felt a strange aura. It was as if the Sword God technique and Sword Demon Supreme Sutra had a tendency to merge at the moment of life and death. Even so, they still wanted to know how Ling Xiao found out about all this. Because I'm the successor of the longevity secret. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a sharp glint as he smiled faintly. The Longevity Supreme Sutra was actually the longevity secret. It contained the longevity sword Qi and was extremely powerful. 10,000 years ago, Jinsei relied on the Longevity Supreme Sutra and the Longevity Sword to defeat all the heroes in the world and become one of the 10 titled Supreme Masters. Since Ling Xiao had obtained the Longevity Supreme Sutra, it was not wrong to say that he was the successor of the Longevity Secret. Chapter 747. What? You're the successor of the longevity skill. Didn't the longevity sect disappear? Dugu Shui asked, looking at Ling Xiao in shock. The longevity sect just hid from the world. They didn't disappear. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and extended his hand. A ball of dazzling, milky white light instantly turned into streaks of unparalleled sharpness. They radiated with an endless ripple of energy as if they could cut through the void. Is this the longevity sword Qi? So you're the successor of the longevity sect. If there's a chance, I'll definitely have a fight with you. Jian Wushuang looked at the longevity sword Qi in Ling Zhao's palm curiously, a strong fighting desire in his eyes. 10,000 years ago, the sky-devouring supreme patriarch of the longevity sect found the information left behind by Dugu Qiubai in a relic. It's what I just said. It confirms that the 3 supreme sword skills of the war god continent were all left behind by Dugu Qiubai. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He was so sure because 10,000 years ago, when he and the real Dragon Supreme Patriarch were exploring the Scarlet Dragon War God's tomb, they accidentally found some information left behind by Dugu Qiubai. It was only then that they truly understood the relationship between the 3 sword skills. Moreover, Dugu Longqing was Ling Zhao's second disciple in his previous life. Ling Xiao also had some understanding of the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. When he comprehended it together with the longevity sword Qi, he did find the aura of the same origin. If you don't believe me, you can exchange martial arts skills. Once you cultivate the Sword God's skill and the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, you'll find that they are originally one. However, I know this is a big deal. You can ask the elders in your family. I just didn't want to see you kill each other in the arena of life and death. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Of course, the bet with the sky-burning demon emperor was incidental. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui looked at each other. Although it had not been verified, they both believed Ling Xiao's words. The 3 supreme sword skills of the war god continent were all left behind by Dugu Qiubai. This was earth-shattering news. Ling Xiao did not hide it from Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, and the others. They were also incomparably shocked. This was especially so for Li Jingming and Lin Hui. When they heard that Ling Xiao was the successor of the legendary longevity sect, the #1 sect in the world 10,000 years ago, the holy land of martial arts that produced the sky-devouring supreme and the longevity sect, they were instantly filled with respect. On the other hand, Taoist Wuyang, Moon God, Phoenix Lady, Long Zhantian, and Long Outyan already knew about the relationship between Ling Xiao and Changsun sect. Hence, they were very calm. Thank you, Brother Ling. If not for your reminder, we would have made a huge mistake. Dugu Shui looked at Ling Xiao seriously. This matter is too serious. We must report this to the sect as soon as possible. Jian Wushuang made a prompt decision. If it was proven that the Sword God technique and the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra came from the same source, then the relationship between the Sword God Pavilion and the Dugu family would be worth considering. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui said their goodbyes and left. Before leaving, Dugu Shui reminded Ling Xiao, Brother Ling, the successor of the War God Temple has already arrived in Heaven Choice City. Recently, Ziwei Xingzi and the sky-burning demon emperor have been very close to the successor of the War God Temple. You have to be careful. The successor of the War God Temple? Alright, thank you. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he nodded. Ling Xiao also wanted to see how powerful the successor of the War God Temple, who was ranked first on the Green Cloud ranking, was. Ling Xiao faintly felt that perhaps in the Heaven Choice Convention, the successor of the War God Temple would be his greatest opponent. Young friend Ling, please come to Taiga Xian for a chat. Suddenly, an old voice was transmitted into Ling Xiao's mind. Mu Tianji. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The person who transmitted the message was the current king of the Tomb Monarch City, Mu Tianji. All right. Ling Xiao nodded. He did not expect Mu Tianji to be in Heaven Choice City. Ling Xiao told Taoist Wuyang and the rest that he was going to meet an old friend. He then left Heaven's Pride House alone and headed towards Taiga Xian. Taiga Xian was also in Heaven Choice City, and it was considered a foothold in the Tomb Monarch City. Taiga Xian was hidden in a small alley, and it looked like a very old shop. Mu Tianji was sitting on a recliner in Taiga Xian, looking very relaxed. Beside him was a handsome young man who exuded an aura similar to Mu Tianji's. He had already reached the half-step to Supreme Master Realm and had passed the 3 divine tribulations. He was only 1 step away from the Raging Fire Tribulation. This young man was obviously a disciple of the Tomb Monarch City. When he saw Ling Xiao enter, he looked at him curiously. Young friend Ling, you're here. Mu Tianji immediately stood up with a smile on his face. After we parted at Two World City, I didn't expect you to display your might in the Saint Ground, defeating the sky-scorching demon emperor, and even killing the leopard venerable at the Mountain of Flames. Now that you're on the Green Sky ranking, your name has spread across the entire War God continent. Congratulations. It's just an empty title. May I know why Lord Mu has called me here? Ling Xiao waved his hand and said casually. This time, I would like to ask you for a favor. Mu Tianji looked at Ling Xiao seriously. Oh, what is it? Ling Xiao asked. I hope that you can help us find the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate. Mu Tianji slowly said. The 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate? You already have news about it? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked in surprise. That's right. Previously, we thought that the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate was in the Saint Ground. Later on, we found out that the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate had always been in the Cavern of Time. We've already received accurate information, but I believe that with your help, we'll definitely be able to obtain it. Mu Tianji said. The 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate is in the Cavern of Time. Since Lord Mu knows about it, it should be easy for you to enter the Cavern of Time with your strength, right? Why are you looking for me? Ling Xiao was puzzled. The people of the Tomb King city had a bloodline curse that prevented them from breaking through to the supremacy realm. However, Mu Tianji's strength was terrifying even though he was only at the Four Symbols Tribulation. Ling Xiao didn't understand why Mu Tianji would need his help. The key is that the War God Temple has also received this news. Plus, they're determined to obtain the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate, so I can't enter the Cavern of Time. Mu Tianji smiled wryly. War God Temple. Why would they want the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate? The general principles and the first few chapters are all with you. Even if they obtain the 9th chapter, it's useless, right? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't expect the War God Temple to want the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate. I don't know. He's Mu Xian, my grandson, and also the most talented person in the younger generation of the Tomb King city. This time, he'll enter the Cavern of Time to search for the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate. Although he's not weak, he's not a match for the successor of the War God Temple. That's why I need your help. Mu Tianji earnestly said with a humble attitude. Chapter 748. The successor of the War God Temple. City Lord Mu, aren't you overestimating me? The successor of the War God Temple is number 1 on the Green Sky ranking. How can you be so sure that I can take the 9th chapter from him? Ling Xiao said with a smile. His eyes flashed with a bright light. Little friend Ling, I've never misjudged people. I believe that you can help me get the 9th chapter. Even if it's the successor of the War God Temple, I believe that only you can deal with him. Mu Tianji smiled faintly. Furthermore, I won't let little friend Ling help me for nothing. Within the Time Cave, there's a supreme divine herb called the longevity grass. I'm willing to tell little friend Ling about this divine herb. Longevity grass, the divine medicine. Ling Xiao's eyes widened. The longevity grass was indeed a supreme divine herb left behind by Dugu Qiubai. However, it had disappeared a long time ago. He didn't expect it to be in the Time Cave. City Lord Mu, since you know about the longevity grass, why haven't you sent people to get it after so many years? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Ha ha ha. I won't hide it from you, little friend Ling. The place where the longevity grass grows is a broken small world. It's very dangerous. When we went in the last few times, the longevity grass wasn't fully mature. But after 1,000 years, the longevity grass should be fully mature. Furthermore, I believe that those dangers are nothing to little friend Ling. Mu Tianji laughed heartily. All right. The longevity grass is very important to me. I'll do my best to help brother Mu Xian get the 9th chapter in the Time Cave. Ling Xiao chuckled. He knew that there was something strange about the longevity grass, but he had to get it. As for dealing with the descendant of the War God Temple, getting the 9th chapter of Heaven's Will was only a matter of convenience. Thank you, little friend Ling. This is the map of the longevity grass. If young friend Ling can help us obtain the 9th chapter of Heaven's Will, then you will be the savior of our city. Mu Tianji solemnly said as he took out a black jade talisman and handed it to Ling Xiao. City Lord Mu, aren't you afraid that I won't help you after taking the map? You should know that the War God Temple is immeasurably strong. Do you really think that I would offend them and help you? Ling Xiao received the jade talisman and looked at Mu Tianji with a smile that was not a smile. I believe in you. Mu Tianji smiled faintly, his expression extremely calm. All right. Since that's the case, I'll try my best to find brother Mu Xian after the Cavern of Time opens, and then I'll go look for the 9th chapter of Destiny. Ling Xiao nodded, then turned around and left the ancient loft. Walking on the main street of Heaven's Choice City, people came and went on both sides of the street. They were all young geniuses with confident smiles on their faces. The surrounding shops, restaurants, inns, and shops were all bustling with activity. Ling Xiao originally intended to return to the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. However, after turning 2 streets, he arrived at a street filled with stalls. This was a trading market. The stalls on both sides of the street were all powerful warriors. Ling Xiao noticed that all of them were at least at the monarch realm, and there were even many old fellows at the quasi-exalt realm. The items on the stalls were also a mix of good and bad. There were precious weapons, supreme divine medicines, powerful precious pills, and mysterious antiques. They all looked like sparkling treasures, causing one to be overwhelmed. However, Ling Xiao also knew that there were all sorts of things here. There were genuine goods, but there were also fakes. It all depended on one's eyesight. 10,000 years old deep-sea pearls, let's walk around and take a look. They come from the bottom of the Eastern Sea and are supreme treasures used to refine supreme-grade Dao weapons and Dao pills. They only cost 3,000 pure yang pills. The ancient human emperor's saber, the heavenly dragon blade. Although it's a little damaged, it's still a quasi-supreme weapon. One slash to break mountains and rivers, one slash to enter the cycle of reincarnation. It's a must-have treasure for traveling. It only costs 100,000 pure yang pills. The 9 nether bottle refined by the 9 nether sovereign. It's a supreme-grade Dao weapon. 30,000 pure yang pills. Hawking sounds could be heard all around. These warriors were like peddlers in the mortal world, vigorously promoting the treasures on their stalls to the people on both sides of the street. Brother, I see that you have an imposing appearance and extraordinary spirit. I have an ancient sword here, I wonder if you're interested. Ling Xiao walked past a stall and saw a shifty-eyed old man with a goatee. He wore a tattered beast skin coat and spoke to Ling Xiao politely. Not interested. Ling Xiao did not even look at him. This old man looked like he was only in the noble realm. It could be said that he had the lowest cultivation among the stall owners. What good things could he have? Little brother, don't be so quick to reject. This sword of mine has a great history. It's the sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme from 10,000 years ago, the Devouring Sky Sword. Although it was severely damaged in the catastrophe 10,000 years ago and only has the power of a supreme-grade Dao weapon now, if you can repair it, it'll be a powerful divine weapon. The goateed old man's spittle flew everywhere as he sneakily took out a silver longsword. It looked ancient and resplendent, but it didn't have any spiritual fluctuations. When Ling Xiao saw the longsword, his eyes narrowed suddenly, but he quickly regained his composure. The sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme? Why don't you say that it's the sword of the Scarlet Dragon War God? You have the nerve to say that it's the sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme with such a lousy sword. Can you at least make up a more convincing excuse if you want to lie? Ling Xiao looked at the old man from the corner of his eyes and said angrily. Little brother, I dug this Devouring Sky sword out from the ruins of the Longevity sect. Look, there's the word, Devouring Sky, on it. Don't be ignorant. I'm fated with you, so I'll sell it to you for 500,000 pure yang pills. What do you think? The old man with the goatee did not give up and insisted on selling the sword to Ling Xiao. Ha ha ha. Old man Lu, can you stop lying to everyone you see? You want to buy 500,000 pure yang pills with this lousy sword of yours? No one will buy it even if you sell it for 1,000 pure yang pills. Little brother, don't be fooled by him. This old man is called Lu Tongtian. He likes to scam people with useless things. That's right. This is not the sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme. It's his grandson's sword. This guy has been selling it for so many years and he still hasn't sold it. The surrounding stall owners all tried to persuade Ling Xiao. Grandpa, come and eat. At this time, a clear child's voice rang out. A little boy around 8 or 9 years old with a braid on his head walked towards the old man with the goatee. He looked like he was carved from jade and was very cute. He carried a bamboo basket and walked towards the old man with the goatee. Jenny, Come here quickly. This uncle wants to buy your sword. Do you want to sell it to him? Lu Tongtian's eyes lit up and he quickly grabbed the little boy. He's called Lu Jianyi. Ling Xiao's eyes widened as he asked hurriedly. There was a slight tremor in his voice. That's right. He's my grandson. His name is Lu Jianyi. Little brother, let me tell you. This sword is indeed the devouring sky sword. If you don't buy it, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Lu Tongtian did not notice Ling Xiao's strange behavior and continued to persuade him. At this moment, Ling Xiao's heart was in turmoil. This was because his fourth disciple in his previous life was called Lu Jianyi. Chapter 749. The sword that Lu Tongtian had taken out was not the sky-swallowing sword, but the Migres ancient sword. However, the Migres ancient sword had been sealed by someone using a mysterious technique. That was why it looked so ordinary. Even a supreme being would not be able to tell the difference. And the owner of the Migres ancient sword was Ling Xiao's fourth disciple, Lu Jianyi. Could it be that Jianyi Zhang has lived for a lifetime? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with shock as he thought to himself. This 8 or 9-year-old child had big clear eyes and looked very innocent. At this moment, his eyes were also wide open as he looked at Ling Xiao curiously. Ling Xiao took another long look at Lu Tongtian. Although Lu Tongtian only seemed to be in the noble plane, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Xiao's mind trembled slightly. Could it be that Lu Tongtian was hiding his cultivation? Ling Xiao thought to himself. The Migres ancient sword was here and this child was called Lu Jianyi. Ling Xiao was almost 90% sure that Lu Jianyi was his fourth disciple. Lu Tongtian was still looking at Ling Xiao with his shifty eyes. His expression was natural and there was nothing wrong with it. I can buy this sword for 500,000 pure yang pills, but I have a condition. I hope you can agree to it. Ling Xiao said to Lu Tongtian. Really? Ha ha ha, no problem. As long as you are willing to buy this sword, I will agree to 100 or even 1,000 conditions. Lu Tongtian was beaming with joy. He looked like a money grubber. Little brother, don't be fooled by old Lu. This sword is really not worth so many pure yang pills. An old stall owner tried to persuade Ling Xiao when he saw that Ling Xiao really wanted to buy the sword. Thank you, sir. This sword is indeed useful to me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and thanked the stall owner for his kind intentions. I can give you 1 million pure yang pills. However, your grandson and I hit it off right away. We must be fated. Why don't you let your grandson be my disciple? Ling Xiao said with a smile. Disciple? Lu Tongtian and the surrounding stall owners were all stunned. This kid spent 1 million pure yang pills to buy a broken sword, and he even wanted to take in a little girl as his disciple. Was there something wrong with his head? Although Lu Jianyi looked very smart, in the eyes of those stall owners, his aptitude was only average. There was nothing amazing about him. That's right, I want to take Jianyi as my disciple. Ling Xiao said seriously. Lu Tongtian took a deep look at Ling Xiao and suddenly laughed and said, ha ha ha. I wonder what is little brother's great name. I can see that little brother is talented and has an extraordinary bearing. You must be a dragon or phoenix among men. I am Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao. Don't tell me he's Ling Xiao, the one who defeated the sky-burning demon emperor and ranked 10th on the honor roll of Azure Sky? As soon as Ling Xiao finished speaking, the surrounding stall owners exclaimed in surprise. If one were to talk about the news that shook the entire war god continent during this period of time, other than the opening of the Heaven's Choice meeting and Long Lai's confirmation of his title, it was the news of Ling Xiao entering the Azure Sky proclamation. The cultivation of these stall owners was extremely high, and many of them were preparing to participate in the Heaven's Choice meeting. Therefore, as soon as Ling Xiao announced his name, they guessed his origin. If there is no one with the same name in this world, then it would be me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. It's really Ling Xiao. Old man Lu, you've struck gold this time. This young Master Ling is a prodigy on the Azure Sky Proclamation, and he's even killed a supreme being. If your grandson takes him as his master, his future will be limitless. The surrounding stall owners' expressions changed, revealing an incomparably respectful expression. Some even revealed looks of envy. What did this little boy do to deserve this? How could he make Ling Xiao take him as his disciple? So it's young Master Ling. Since young Master Ling has taken a fancy to Jian Yi, then it's his fortune. I'll make the decision on Jian Yi's behalf and agree. In the future, young Master Ling will be Jian Yi's. Lu Tongtian's eyes revealed a trace of surprise as he nodded and smiled. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted. Wait! A calm yet cold voice was heard. A group of handsome young men and women walked over from afar. Each of them had an extraordinary cultivation and a powerful aura. They were all half-step supreme being cultivators, emitting a cold and arrogant aura. They clustered around a handsome young man wearing a purple golden armor as he walked over. It was a flawless young man. His figure was tall, and his entire body was enveloped in a layer of dense purple light. His hair was also purple, like the most dazzling purple clouds, dense and full of luster. His skin was like jade, sparkling and translucent. His entire body emitted a jade-like aura. His face was extremely handsome, with a faint smile on his lips. He strolled over like a young immortal king, as if he was the center and focus of the world wherever he went. The surrounding young men and women looked at him with eyes full of worship and infatuation. As the young man approached, Ling Xiao felt an extremely dangerous feeling. Someone who has survived the tribulation of the four symbols and can make me feel so threatened, could it be the successor of the Temple of War? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, but his expression did not change. Sir, can I take a look at this sword? The young man walked up to Lu Tongtian and smiled faintly. His voice was very gentle, but for some reason, Ling Xiao felt that under that gentle smile, there was an extremely cold and arrogant attitude, with an unquestionable authority. Here. Lu Tongtian looked at him and handed the Migre's ancient sword over. The young man took a closer look at the Migre's ancient sword, and a strange look appeared in his eyes. He then looked at Lu Jianyi and said slowly, "This ancient sword is not bad, I'll buy it. No matter how many pure yang pills it is, it's not a problem. Also, I like your grandson very much, and I would like to take him as my disciple." Is that possible? The surrounding stall owners were stunned. Is this young man here to cause trouble? Ling Xiao had just said that he wanted to buy this ancient sword and take Lu Jianyi as his disciple, and this young man actually made the same request. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply, and he frowned slightly. "Sir, may I know your name?" But this little brother Ling Xiao has already bid 1,000,000 pure yang pills. You're making things difficult for me. Lu Tongtian rolled his eyes and chuckled. 3,000,000 pure yang pills. The young man said faintly, without even looking at Ling Xiao. "Old man, my master is the successor of the Temple of War. It's your grandson's fortune that he's willing to take him as his disciple. Why aren't you kneeling down and thanking him?" Beside the young man, a young man in a green robe, who looked extremely arrogant, sneered. The successor of the Temple of War. Chapter 750. First place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard and the successor of the War God Temple. No matter which identity it was enough to stir up the entire War God continent. This was an absolute prodigy. No matter where he went, he would be the center of attention. However, thinking back to the words of the successor of the War God Temple, he actually wanted to buy the sword and take Lu Jianyi as his disciple. Was he trying to cause trouble for Ling Xiao? Everyone's expression suddenly became a little strange. First place and 10th place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. Although everyone knew that Ling Xiao's strength was definitely higher than the 10th place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard, they still thought that Ling Xiao would give in front of the successor of the War God Temple. Little brother Ling, this young master bid 3,000,000 pure yang pills. Although you came first, I can't break the rules, can I? Lu Tongtian rubbed his hands and said embarrassedly. Everyone immediately rolled their eyes and cursed in their hearts. This old man Lu is simply too greedy. He still dares to raise the price at a time like this. Doesn't he know that he can't afford to offend Ling Xiao or the successor of the War God Temple? 5 million pure yang pills. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He still had tens of millions of pure yang pills on him. The Migre's ancient sword couldn't fall into the hands of the successor of the War God Temple. He had to take Lu Jiani with him. He even suspected that the successor of the War God Temple had seen through him. 8 million. The successor of the War God Temple smiled faintly. 10 million. 15 million. 16 million. Ling Xiao and the successor of the War God Temple continued to raise the price. Soon, the price reached an unimaginable level. Lu Tongtian's eyes lit up. He felt as if a large number of pure yang pills were being thrown at him. 50 million pure yang pills. Ling Xiao increased the price by 10 million. This was all the pure yang pills he had on him. This was already a sky-high price. Even the successor of the War God Temple frowned slightly. It wasn't that he couldn't afford it, but he felt that it was a bit risky to spend so many pure yang pills on an ancient sword that was still uncertain. Ling Xiao, right? My lord likes this ancient sword very much. If you're willing to give it up, my lord is willing to befriend you. The green-robed young man beside the successor of the War God Temple said arrogantly. I'm sorry, but this sword and Lu Jiani are fated to be mine. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, not even looking at him. Ling Xiao, don't you dare refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Don't think you have the right to be smug just because you've defeated the sky-scorching demon emperor. You should know that there's always someone better than you. You're nothing before my master. Seeing that Ling Xiao didn't even look at him, the young man's face turned ugly. His name was Feng Zhilin, and he was the successor of the Feng clan. Moreover, he had already passed the tribulation of 3 symbols. Although he had sided with the successor of the War God Hall, even the people on the Azure Sky rankings were polite to him. Ling Xiao, a brat who had just become a half-step Zhizuan, actually dared to look down on him. Cut the crap. If you can't afford it, then get lost. Don't show off here. Ling Xiao glanced at Feng Zhilin and sneered. On the surface, he seemed to be scolding the Wind Forest, but in reality, he was also scolding the successor of the War God Temple. For some reason, when Ling Xiao saw the successor of the War God Temple, he didn't have any good impression of him. 60 million pure yang pills. The successor of the War God Temple looked at Ling Xiao indifferently and continued to bid. What he didn't lack the least was pure yang pills. Compared to pure yang pills, the face of the successor of the War God Temple was more valuable. What was a mere pure yang pill worth? Ling Xiao frowned slightly. All the pure yang pills he had on him added up to 50 million. Old man, I'll bid 50 million pure yang pills and a paragon martial art. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. The surrounding people were shocked. A paragon martial art wasn't something that could be found on the streets. Only titled sovereigns, or even unparalleled gods, could create a paragon martial art. For an ordinary sovereign expert, creating a Tian-level martial art was already very good. A paragon martial art was worth at least 30 million pure yang pills. No more pure yang pills. I'd like to see how many paragon martial arts you have. I'll bid 100 million pure yang pills. The successor of the War God Temple revealed a trace of sharpness in his eyes as he slowly said. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Pure yang pills. To buy such a broken sword, could it really be a supreme treasure? For Ling Xiao and the successor of the War God Temple to fight to such an extent, even the stall owners who believed that the sword was a piece of trash couldn't help but mutter. Could it be that they had misjudged the sword? Lu Tongtian was still smiling as his eyes shone. Originally, he only wanted to sell the sword for 500,000 pure yang pills. He didn't expect that the price would be raised to 100 million pure yang pills. Grandfather, this sword isn't worth that many pure yang pills, right? Even if you have 100 million pure yang pills, it won't be able to cure my illness. Lu Jianyi pulled on Lu Tongtian's sleeve and whispered. Jianyi, what illness do you have? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He didn't find any problems with Lu Jianyi's body. Other than the fact that he didn't have any cultivation, he looked very healthy. Big brother, my grandfather said that I have a terminal illness and I won't live past 20 years old. So, don't fight. This sword isn't worth so many pure yang pills. Lu Jianyi blinked his big clear eyes and said. Lu Tongtian's face showed a trace of age. He sighed softly and said, Jianyi has the 9 demonic body. Her meridians are naturally terminated. Only the legendary supreme divine medicine can cure her. Gentlemen, if you have any divine medicine, take it out and exchange it for this sword. If you don't, then please leave. I'm not selling this sword. 9 demonic body. Ling Zhao's body trembled. He quickly grabbed Lu Jianyi's small hand and probed with a wisp of heaven-devouring true qi. He immediately found that there were 9 black demonic qi entrenched around Lu Jianyi's heart meridians. Moreover, they had merged with Lu Jianyi's heart meridians, causing Lu Jianyi's life origin to become extremely weak. However, on the surface, she looked like an ordinary person. The 9 demonic body was a naturally terminated body in the legends. Only the legendary supreme divine medicine could cure her. Otherwise, she would die without a doubt and wouldn't live past 20 years old. I do have a divine medicine with me. Unfortunately, it might be useless for Jianyi's 9 demonic body. Ling Zhao glanced at Lu Tongtian and said slowly. Oh. What kind of divine medicine is it? Lu Tongtian's eyes suddenly lit up. Explosive dendrobium. Ling Zhao said. Lu Tongtian's body trembled. His eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. He quickly grabbed Ling Zhao's arm and said, the explosive dendrobium you mentioned. Is it a divine medicine that was born from nature and gathers the divine strength of the 4 symbols and the chaotic power of heaven and earth? The explosive dendrobium that will explode no matter what it encounters. Chapter 751. Ha ha ha. This is great news, this is great news. According to my calculations, the explosive dendrobium is the best medicine to cure the 9 demonic body. Little brother, if you hand over the explosive dendrobium, I'll give you the sword and let Sword 1 become your disciple. Lu Tongtian said excitedly. As for the successor of the war god Hall, he frowned slightly. The green-robed youth beside him couldn't take it anymore. He sneered, old man, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If our lord wants something, you have to hand it over today whether you want to or not. Lu Tongtian glanced at the successor of the combat god Hall and said, I'm sorry, I'm not selling this sword. You guys can leave. Old man, you dare to trick us. The green-robed youth's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. A powerful aura enveloped Lu Tongtian. To him, Lu Tongtian was just an ant in the noble realm. As long as he released his aura, Lu Tongtian would probably kneel down in fear. But to his disappointment, Lu Tongtian didn't seem to be affected at all. Instead, Lu Tongtian looked at Ling Zhao with anticipation. This is the explosive dendrobium. Ling Zhao's hand flashed and 5 colored lights spread out, forming a mysterious barrier. Inside it was a black stone flower that looked very ordinary. When Lu Tongtian saw it, he said excitedly, that's right, it's the legendary explosive dendrobium. Everyone looked curiously at the exploding dendrobium in Ling Zhao's hand. It was a legendary divine medicine, but it was also a useless medicine. Yet, Lu Tongtian treated it like a treasure. He didn't even want 100 million pure yang pills. The successor of the combat god Hall glanced at Ling Zhao and said, you're Ling Zhao, right? I'll remember you. In the chosen one, I'd like to see if your strength is worthy of your arrogance. There are many people who remember me. You're not the only one. In the chosen one, I'd also like to see if the so-called first place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard is just fishing for fame. Ling Zhao smiled faintly and replied. Let's go. The successor of the combat god Hall glanced at Ling Xiao with a bright light in his eyes. He then led the crowd away. After the successor of the war god temple left, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The pressure he gave everyone was simply too great. First place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. He wasn't a Supremes, but he had killed 5 Supremes by himself. His terrifying strength made everyone respect and fear him. At the same time, some people looked at Ling Xiao with schadenfreude. Ling Xiao had thoroughly offended the successor of the war god temple. He was going to suffer in the Heavenly Choice Convention. Old sir, are you so sure that the explosive dendrobium can heal the 9-yin terminus body? Ling Xiao looked at Lu Tongtian and asked slowly. Don't worry. Although the 9-yin fiend body is a natural extinct body, with the exploding dendrobium and the fusion of the extreme yin and extreme yang forces, Sword 1 will become the legendary yin-yang saint body. When that time comes, his martial arts cultivation will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Lu Tongtian said. I to be a disciple to. I to take him as my. B. Wait. Tongtian. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he smiled and handed the explosive dendrobium to Lu Tongtian. Fong. Don't worry. I'll bring him to you when his body is healed. Lu Tongtian smiled faintly. His eyes were full of confidence as he stretched out his hand. Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed. Lu Tongtian took out the explosive dendrobium from the 5 elements barrier. He held it in his hand, but it didn't explode. Even a Supremes wouldn't dare to hold the explosive dendrobium in their hand without special means. Ling Xiao was indeed testing Lu Tongtian, but the results showed that this shifty-eyed old man was not simple. Lu Tongtian packed up his stall and left with Lu Jianyi. Soon, he stopped breathing. He told Ling Xiao to look for him after Lu Jianyi's body was healed. This Lu Tongtian wasn't simple. Ling Xiao couldn't see through him, but Ling Xiao still instinctively believed him. Ling Xiao left the street and walked towards the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. What's going on? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He saw many martial artists gathered outside the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. The atmosphere was very lively. Daoist Wu Yang, Long Outyen and the others were also there. Ling Xiao walked over quickly. Countless martial artists had excited looks on their faces. They stared at the few items in the center with shining eyes. There was a young man in his 20s sitting there. He was wearing a green robe and his black hair was scattered behind his head. His face was like jade and his temperament was extraordinary. His entire body exuded a pure and light aura. His eyes were slightly closed, but there was an invisible aura around him that made people unable to get close to him. There were 3 treasures in front of him. A green ancient sword that looked incomparably sharp and exuded a powerful fluctuation. It was actually a supreme being weapon. A pill that was yellow, black, green, and red. It was the size of a longan. It was round and simple, exuding a strange fluctuation. An ancient jade book that was filled with a bright brilliance. It seemed to be filled with mysterious supreme being Tao marks. In addition to these 3 treasures, there was also a black stone that exuded a dense demonic aura and a powerful spatial fluctuation. Beside the black stone, there was a banner with 8 words written on it: open the black stone and choose any treasure. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He could see that the black stone was actually a supreme being's small world. It was enshrouded in demonic aura and there was a powerful seal on it. It was very similar to the legendary ancient god seal. Was this green-robed man planning to give away one of the 3 treasures in exchange for helping him open the ancient black stone? The ancient green lotus sword, the 4-symbol supreme pill, and the primordial chaos singular chi scripture. It's really generous. Ling Xiao thought to himself. The ancient sword was called the ancient green lotus sword. It was a powerful supreme being weapon and should be an ancient supreme being treasure. It contained an extremely rich wood attribute power and was most suitable for wood attribute martial artists. The 4 Symbols Supreme Pill was a top-grade Supreme Being pill. Not only could it allow a half-step Supreme Being to pass the 4 Symbols Tribulation, but it could also increase the chances of passing the Supreme Being Tribulation. It was extremely precious. The Primordial Chaos Singular Chi scripture was a Supreme Being martial art. It was said that it was a classic left behind by a Primordial Chaos Supreme Being in ancient times. It was extremely powerful. Who was this man in green? He was willing to take out these 3 treasures just to open the Supreme Being's small world. Ling Xiao, you're back. I'm afraid you won't even know who he is. When Taoist Wu Yang saw Ling Xiao, his eyes flashed and he smiled. He passed the 4 Symbols Tribulation and his strength is unfathomable. He's also wearing a green robe. Could he be the independent cultivator Emperor Qing, who is ranked 3rd on the Green Cloud Roll? Chapter 752. Cousin, you are so powerful. He is Emperor Qing. Big Brother said that he is very powerful. Big Brother couldn't even take 1 blow from him. Long Outyen said with a smile. You talk too much. Long Zhantian suddenly looked embarrassed and fiercely glared at Long Ao Tian. Long Zhantian had met Emperor Qing before. At that time, Long Zhantian had just broken through to the Emperor realm and wanted to test his sword against all the heroes in the world. In the end, he met Emperor Qing, who had just broken through to the Emperor realm and was defeated in 1 blow. A few years later, Emperor Qing had passed the 4 Symbols Tribulation and was even ahead of Long Zhantian. Emperor Qing. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. He could feel that Emperor Qing was very powerful. He was not much weaker than the successor of the Combat God Hall. Ling Xiao, that black stone is not simple. I guess that it is at least a few 100,000 years old. It should be a small world in the body of a titled sovereign. However, there is a layer of ancient god seal outside. Many people have tried to open it but failed. Why don't you give it a try? Taoist Wu Yang stared at the black stone and said slowly. Let's take a look first. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. He could feel that there was something in the ancient stone that was very important to him. Buzz. The wordless heavenly book trembled slightly and exuded a wave of fear and excitement. Even the black bone dwarf in the stone box started to tremble slightly. Could it be that there is a black bone dwarf in this small world? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The black bone dwarf in the stone box was very mysterious. Even the wordless heavenly book couldn't do anything to it. Ling Xiao faintly felt that if the black bone dwarf was completed, some earth-shattering changes would occur. Currently, the black bone dwarf was missing an arm and 2 legs. Ling Xiao squinted his eyes. If the black bone dwarf really existed in this small world, it seemed that he would have to take action. Let me give it a try. Finally, someone could not take it anymore. A burly man with bulging muscles walked out. He was more than 10 feet tall and had 2 horns on his head. His body emitted a green light and a strong demonic aura. It's an expert from the Bronze Demonic Ox clan. This guy has already passed the Great Earth Tribulation. It's said that he has the divine strength to carry mountains and seas. Could it be that he wants to use brute force? Someone's eyes flashed as he recognized the background of this burly man. The Azure the Arch had already said that there was no limit to the means. Regardless of the means used, as long as one could break the ancient god's restriction and open the small world, one could choose any one of the 3 treasures. Even the peerless geniuses of the martial sacred lands felt their hearts burning with desire and excitement when they saw the 3 treasures. If not for Emperor Qing's identity, some people might have already tried to snatch it. The Azure Emperor had even slaughtered a few primes. If these fellows dared to make a move, they would be like an old man eating arsenic. They must be tired of living. Therefore, no matter how greedy they were, they could only follow the Azure Thearcha's instructions. Rumble. The burly man from the Bronze Demonic Ox clan was glowing from head to toe. Strands of cyan divine light shone from his body, and the muscles all over his body swelled up. His eyes were blood red, and his entire body was overflowing with blood. An incomparably terrifying energy fluctuation was being emitted from his body. He roared angrily as he stomped his feet on the ground. Suddenly, he threw a punch at the black stone. The terrifying fist radiance caused the void to tremble. It seemed like even a divine mountain would be shattered by his punch. Demon Ox Fist. This is the Bronze Demonic Ox clan's most powerful divine skill. It is said that when cultivated to the extreme, one can transform into an ancient demon ox king. It is extremely terrifying. Someone exclaimed as a look of anticipation appeared in his eyes. Rumble. However, when the punch landed on the black stone, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. A layer of black runes spread out from the black stone. It did not even tremble. The power of the punch instantly disappeared without a trace. How is this possible? The expert from the Bronze Demonic Ox clan was in disbelief. It was as if he had gone mad. He threw out dozens of punches consecutively, but he still could not do anything to the black stone. Let me do it. A young man in a purple robe walked out. His entire body was shrouded in divine light. He looked valiant and extraordinary. His entire body exuded a majestic and mysterious aura. Heavenly Divine Body. The Jiang clan's heavenly divine body, Jiang Tianfeng. Someone's eyes flashed as he recognized this young man. He was the famous heavenly divine body of the Jiang clan. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as well. He had seen Jiang Tianfeng before in Heavenly God City. Now, it seemed that Jiang Tianfeng had already passed the 3 divine tribulations. His strength was even more unfathomable. The legendary heavenly divine body has the power to seal the heavens and the earth. Perhaps his heavenly divine body can break this ancient divine seal. Someone's eyes flashed with anticipation. The Azure Emperor's eyes were still closed. He did not even open them. A sharp glint flashed in Jiang Tianfeng's eyes as he struck out with his palm. Rumble. As if the laws of heaven and earth had been triggered, rays of dazzling light shot out from Jiang Tianfeng's palm. They were like divine chains of order. In an instant, they spread to the black stone. They contained a mysterious power that wanted to break the rune seal on the stone. Buzz. The rune restriction trembled slightly, but it only trembled a little. Although Jiang Tianfeng's palm strike was powerful, it could not break the ancient divine seal. He gave it a try but gave up. Let me do it. An old man with a red face and a body covered in flames walked up. He cultivated the true Samadhi fire and wanted to break the ancient divine seal with fire. However, he failed in the end. Following that, many other martial arts experts tried to break the ancient divine seal. They attacked with fire, water, sabers, and swords. Some even took out their supreme weapons. However, they still could not break the ancient divine seal. These people are really blind. Even the Azure Emperor could not break the ancient divine seal. Do they think they are stronger than the Azure Emperor? Taoist Wu Yang sneered. That's right. If a supreme weapon could break the ancient divine seal, the Azure Emperor would have used it long ago. These people are just unwilling to give up. After all, treasures can fool people. Li Jingming said slowly. Cousin, why don't you give it a try? I think only you can break the ancient divine seal. These pieces of trash are just wasting their efforts. Long Outyan grabbed Ling Zhao's arm and asked expectantly. He wants to break the ancient divine seal. Hee, what a fool's dream. Only I can break the ancient divine seal on this black stone. You pieces of trash, get out of my way. An extremely arrogant voice rang out. It was extremely ear-piercing. Everyone was furious. This voice did not hide it at all. He directly called everyone trash and offended almost everyone. A handsome young man in a golden robe rode over on a void golden-eyed beast. His face was full of arrogance, and his nostrils were about to reach the sky. Zhao Ritian. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and a strange expression appeared on his face. Chapter 753. Zhao Ritian's entire body was emitting a dazzling divine light. His entire body was like a blazing sun. His qi and blood were like the sea, extremely vigorous. His black hair was thick and lustrous. Riding on the void golden-eyed beast, he was like a heavenly emperor on patrol, instantly attracting everyone's attention. However, he was too arrogant. He had an arrogant look on his face. His nose was in the air, and his eyes were filled with pride. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Zhao Ritian's holy sun body had been completely awakened, and he had passed the 4 divine tribulations. His strength was unparalleled, and Ling Zhao felt that he was even stronger than the sky-scorching demon emperor. It seemed like this guy had another fortuitous encounter. Cousin, who is this guy? He's even more arrogant than me. Long Outyan glared at Zhao Ritian unhappily. He had never met Zhao Ritian before, so he did not know who he was. His name is Zhao Ritian. He's also from the 8 Desolates region. He's now the 10th saint of the Sun Palace. Ling Zhao asked with a strange expression. This 10th holy sun had probably surpassed the previous holy suns. He had never heard of the previous 9 holy suns of the Sun Palace being so strong. Zhao Ritian. Ha ha ha. You want to fuck the heavens? Why don't you fuck the heavens? Why don't you fuck the heavens? This name is so funny, ha ha ha. Long Outyan was stunned for a moment, then he burst into laughter. His eyes were filled with mockery. The moon deity and phoenix lady covered their mouths and laughed. Zhao Ritian's name was indeed strange. Little brat, what are you laughing at? You're so old, and you haven't even grown your hair yet. Go home and drink milk. Let me tell you, no one here can break the ancient god's seal. Only I, the saint, can break it. Zhao Ritian said proudly. He was not angry at all. Zhao Ritian, my name is Long Outyan. You think you can break the ancient god's seal? Pooey. Long Outyan seemed to have started a fight with Zhao Ritian. He glared at Zhao Ritian, his face full of dissatisfaction. Long Outyan. Your name is really stupid. Ha ha ha. Little brat, do you dare to bet with me? Let's bet on whether I can break the ancient god's seal. Zhao Ritian laughed coldly. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Even the Azure the Arch couldn't break the ancient god's seal. Who do you think you are? Long Outyan naturally wouldn't admit defeat. Ao Tian, don't bet with him. This brat has some skill. Ling Zhao glared at him. Ha ha ha, are you scared now? If you're scared, then scram. Watch me break the ancient god's seal. Zhao Ritian sneered as he walked towards the black ancient rock. Long Outyan was provoked by Zhao Ritian. I'm not afraid. Tell me, what do you want to bet? Let's bet that I can break the ancient god's restriction and open this small world. If I win, you have to call me Grandpa 3 times. How about it? Zhao Ritian revealed a sinister smile in his eyes. He had just heard Long Outyan call Ling Zhao cousin. If Long Outyan called him Grandpa, it would be equivalent to him taking advantage of Ling Zhao. What if you lose? Long Outyan asked. How can I possibly lose? If even I can't break the ancient god's seal, even if you look for a titled supreme, he won't have the ability to do so. Zhao Ritian said arrogantly. Since it's a bet, there's bound to be a winner and a loser. If you lose, you have to call me Grandpa too. Long Outyan laughed coldly. Alright, deal. Zhao Ritian and Long Outyan stared at each other and swore the heavenly Tao oath. Outyan, you're too impulsive. Zhao Ritian is not simple. If he really breaks the ancient god's seal, let's see what you're going to do. Ling Zhao glared at him. Hee hee, if he really breaks the ancient god's seal, I'll call him Grandpa 3 times. Anyway, it's just a verbal advantage. I'm just a kid, so I won't lose out. Long Outyan laughed cunningly. However, Long Zhantian's face immediately turned green. If Long Outyen called Zhao Ritian grandpa, Long Zhantian, Ling Shao, and even the Dragon King would lose face. Outyen, if you lose, I'll tell my father about what happened today. You know what will happen to you then. Long Zhantian glared at Long Outyen and said while gritting his teeth. Long Outyen's body trembled as fear appeared in his eyes. However, he still pretended to be calm and said, "What are you afraid of? Do you think the old man can kill me? At most, I'll be confined." Ling Shao also had a headache. Now, it all depended on whether Zhao Ritian had the ability to do so. The black stone was the size of a millstone. It was ancient and mottled. The surface of the stone emitted a mysterious aura. Long Outyen jumped down from the void golden-eyed beast and walked towards the black stone. "Second Master, are you sure you can break this ancient god seal? If you can't, then I, Zhao Ritian, will lose face." Zhao Ritian said in his heart as he pretended to observe the black stone. "Don't worry, it's just the simplest ancient god seal. It won't be a problem for me. Unless it's the celestial 36 ancient god seal, it won't be a problem for me." Second Master said confidently. "That's good. Let's begin." Long Outyen was relieved. Wang! A bright flame rose from Long Outyen's palm. It was extremely hot and instantly enveloped the black stone. Is that the Grand Sun primordial flame? Is this kid trying to use fire to attack? Even Daoist Zhang's true Samadhi fire didn't work. This Grand Sun primordial flame won't work either, right? This kid is too arrogant. Looks like he's going to lose. The surrounding crowd was gloating at Zhao Ritian's misfortune. They were extremely displeased with Zhao Ritian's arrogance. Wang. However, the Grand Sun primordial flame in Zhao Ritian's palm suddenly split into dozens of thin threads. They were like divine order chains that contained the power of the supreme Yang order. In an instant, they drilled into the black stone. The ancient god's seal appeared on the black stone. Ancient black runes seemed to be describing some kind of heavenly law. It was extremely mysterious and connected with each other. It was like a divine spiritual lock that locked down all forces. The dozens of divine order chains in Zhao Ritian's palm were extremely nimble. They weaved between the black runes and caused the runes to tremble as if they were about to be unlocked. This power. It's definitely not something that Zhao Ritian can use. It must be the existence in his body. It seems like that existence is stronger than I thought. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. Zhao Ritian's forehead started to sweat. The ancient god's seal was more difficult than he had imagined. Although Second Master was the one doing it, it was exhausting Zhao Ritian's energy. Finally, when all the runes started to tremble, a crisp sound was heard. Kacha! The ancient god's seal was broken. What? The ancient god's seal was really broken. Chapter 754. Ha ha ha. Long Outyen, I've already opened the ancient god's seal. Hurry up and call me Grandpa. Zhao Ritian said proudly to Long Outyen. He did not forget to provoke Long Outyen. The ancient stone shone resplendently, overflowing with colorful lights. It emitted a dazzling divine light, just like a divine stone. A mysterious scene emerged. It can't be. So easy. Long Outyen was shocked. He quickly looked at the black stone. However, after looking at it, Long Outyen burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that he was out of breath. Ha ha ha. Zhao Ritian, are you stupid? You've only broken one layer of the ancient god's seal. What about the other layer? If you haven't broken it completely, you won't be able to open the small world. What? Zhao Ritian quickly turned his head. When he saw the scene on the black stone, he was stunned. Although the ancient god's seal was broken, there was another layer of seal on the black stone. It was made up of 36 intertwining black runes. It gave off a mysterious and ancient wave. Ha ha ha. 2 layers of ancient god seal. This shouldn't be a problem for you, right? Zhao Ritian. Everyone roared with laughter. Even the Lotus Emperor, who was sitting there cross-legged, opened his eyes slowly. It was like a ray of divine light at the beginning of the world. There was a faint mist of chaos in the air. Everyone could not help but feel nervous. The Lotus Emperor's gaze fell on the black stone. He revealed a strange look. This layer of ancient god's seal was even stronger than the previous one. It gave off a perfect wave. If you can open this layer of ancient god's seal, the 3 treasures are yours. The Lotus Emperor looked at Zhao Ritian and said. Zhao Ritian's face turned green. This was because the second elder was roaring in his heart. Damn it! Why is it the Heavenly Star 36 ancient god seal? I really jinxed it. I didn't expect that I was right. Why would the Heavenly Star 36 ancient god seal appear in this small world? Second uncle wanted to cry but had no tears. He had already said that as long as it wasn't the Big Dipper 36 ancient gods restriction, he would be able to unlock it. But who would have thought that there would be 2 ancient god seals on this black stone? After one of them was unlocked, the other one was actually the Heavenly Spirit 36 ancient god seal. At this moment, second eldest uncle even had the heart to curse. Zhao Ritian had a bad premonition. Second master, you can't even break this Heavenly Spirit 36 ancient god seal. Sigh, if I was at my peak, I might be able to give it a try. But now, I'm just a remnant soul. I can't do anything about the perfect celestial spirit 36 ancient gods restriction. Second eldest uncle sighed softly, somewhat unwillingly. Second master, you can't do anything either. What should I do then? I made a bet with that little brat, do I really have to call him grandpa? Zhao Ritian's face turned green. It was as if his parents had died. It was extremely ugly. A real man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. It's not embarrassing to call a little brat grandpa. Ha! Second eldest uncle laughed and disappeared. No matter how Zhao Ritian shouted, he wouldn't come out. Clearly, second eldest uncle was ashamed that he couldn't unlock the Heavenly Spirit 36 ancient god seal. Zhao Ritian, why don't you unlock it? If you can't, hurry up and call me grandpa. You've made a heavenly oath. Are you trying to go back on your word? Long Outyan wanted to see the world in chaos, so he shouted. Zhao Ritian fiddled with it for a while. Without second eldest uncle's help, he couldn't unlock it at all. In the end, he could only give up unwillingly. Zhao Ritian, hurry up and call me grandpa. Ha ha ha, I'm waiting. Long Outyan said excitedly. Even he was shocked just now. He thought that Zhao Ritian had really unlocked the ancient god seal. He didn't expect Zhao Ritian to be so miserable, encountering 2 ancient god seals. Long Outyan, I can give you a treasure. It doesn't matter if it's a sage medicine, a Dao instrument, or a pure yang pill. Can you cancel the bet? No matter how unwilling Zhao Ritian was, he could only put on a smile and ask. No. Even if you give me a divine instrument, I won't allow it. You're going to call me grandpa 3 times. Long Outyan rejected. Don't go too far. I, Zhao Ritian, am not someone to be trifled with. Zhao Ritian began to threaten them again. Alright, Zhao Ritian. Put away your tricks. I only have one question for you. As long as you tell me, you can cancel the bet. What's the origin of the remnant soul in your body? Ling Xiao suddenly sent a voice transmission to Zhao Ritian. How did you know that second eldest uncle? Zhao Ritian looked as if he had seen a ghost. However, before he could finish his sentence, he immediately stopped. Second eldest uncle. You're saying that the remnant soul in your body is your second eldest uncle? Why haven't I heard of such a powerful person in your Zhao family? Ling Xiao frowned. He finally heard some information about the remnant soul. Give up. Don't say that I don't know the origin of second eldest uncle. Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Second eldest uncle has done me a great favor. I won't betray him. Zhao Ritian said with a righteous face. Hee, Zhao Ritian. Don't you know that you've been betrayed? Do you really think that the remnant soul in your body is here to help you? Maybe it wants to train you. When your cultivation has reached a certain level, it will take over your body. There's no free lunch in the world. You'll only fall into a trap. Ling Xiao said with a cold smile. Humph. Don't you dare slander second eldest uncle. Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us. Second eldest uncle has done me a great favor. So what if he takes my body? Don't waste your time. Isn't it just calling me grandpa 3 times? I, Zhao Ritian, am a man who knows when to yield and when to stand tall. What's the big deal? Zhao Ritian sent a voice transmission to Ling Xiao righteously. Then, he walked in front of Long Outyen and said, "Little brat, just you wait. One day, I'll make you call me ancestor. Grandpa, grandpa, grandpa." After Zhao Ritian called him grandpa 3 times, he jumped on the void golden eye beast and left the place in a huff. That guy agreed so easily. Long Zhantian was in disbelief. After all, he could see that Zhao Ritian was extremely powerful. He had already passed the 4 divine tribulations. As the 10th saint of the Sun Palace, he shouldn't have agreed so easily. Humph. He got off too easy. His voice was too soft. I should have let him call me grandpa so that everyone in the city could hear it. Long Outyen said with dissatisfaction. Alright, let me try. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and walked towards Heishe. Although he was very interested in the remnant soul in Long Outyen's body, Long Outyen was very tight-lipped. He only said the words, second eldest uncle, unintentionally. He didn't say anything else. Ling Xiao was ready to break the second ancient god seal. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.